It's time to get real about shit and have some hard conversations and rip apart topics to make sure we advocate for every angle of that topic. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate, brought to you by DEViL's. Give your fandom a recharge, and hosted by the uncanny indie devil, Mr. Anderson. Follow all the COMiX Devil's Tales at MrAnderson.com.
Original music by Unicorn Heads for the YouTube audio library. This music is free for you to use on YouTube videos. Find the music in YouTube audio library in the Creator Studio. Search Unicorn Heads.
And now on to the topic. The opinions expressed in the following broadcast are not necessarily those of DEViL's Media LLC, its staff, contributors, or sponsors. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, everybody. Tonight we have the dangers of creators coming before COMiX. Do you agree? Let me get that banner out of the way so we can actually see the rest of what that says. Do you agree or disagree? Have an opinion? Just want to watch? 9 p.m. It's that time now. We are live. So in our comments section, you're going to find a StreamYard link. Everyone is welcome in. This is actually because of our good friend and leader here at DEViL's, the Varian Grant. He is amazing, and he keeps the door open for everyone. So shall this show. The only thing we have as a rule is the civility rule. As long as you can be civil, you're welcome on this show. And we encourage people to come on and have their different opinions. We are already joined by one of the guests for tonight, and we're going to be having some other ones. I do apologize to the guests. We had a little bit of a snafu, and actually the first guest up was actually the one who told me there was a problem, and I didn't realize it till I tried to go live, and suddenly I was like, oh, there's the mistake. I had set the time wrong somehow for this show, so I do apologize for that. But introduce yourself to the audience. Tell them who you are.
Hey, guys. I'm Katrina Rotes. I am an author, an editor, and frequent guest on DEViL's.
And I myself have a video intro because I'm lazy. It really is that. I can't stand doing it. But we also have JD joining us, so we'll do that. But first, let me explain the devil because I see he's drinking, so we'll let him finish drinking.
Mr. Anderson is the unboxable advocating creator known as the devilish comics creator who will tempt you with his devilish tales. He creates books about fetish, monsters, and more, and offers free spanks and hugs. He also teaches morals with farts. Check out the COMiX Devil by going to MrAnderson.com.
Making sure I got my button on. We are also joined by the one, the only JD. JD, tell him who you are.
How you doing? My name is JD Calderon. I'm the writer and creator of the Oswald Chronicles, currently on Indiegogo. I'm also the writer and creator of Tall Tales, which you see on Tall Tales Online. And I also have a podcast of myself. You can find it under JD Calderon on YouTube. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being on the show tonight, my friend. Welcome to it. All right, guys. Before we get started, let's just get it out of the way. There's no safe spaces here. There never has been, there never will be, but there is civility. Everyone who's been on this show so far has been very civil, and I thank all the guests who have been on. I know the guests I have right now are able to be more than civil during discussions that might become different. We are here to have open conversation, something people don't know how to do anymore. It's okay to disagree with each other. It's not okay to attack each other. And we're trying to prove that. A lot of people have been asking me, will we be doing a follow-up to the COMiXgate moderate social justice warrior conversation? Yes, I'm announcing right now we will be having a sequel to that. We are currently aiming for it to be part of the next indie event. So because it's going to be a big deal, we want it to be a big deal. It might even come out of its 9 o'clock hour and be a special. We're trying to figure it out right now. We invite everyone from COMiXgate. We invite everyone who identifies as anything. If you're a fan, if you're a creator, and you want to be part of this discussion that has us drawing lines in the comic book industry and maybe sitting down and talking about what those lines really mean, maybe finding a middle ground. That's the point of this show. I'm going to throw out things. I am the devil advocate. I am making sure that we can all have a voice, and that's the point. Shouldn't we all have a voice? Shouldn't we all learn from each other? Shouldn't we all experience different things that we don't necessarily experience through our lives? Thank you all for the feedback. I am blown away by the fact you guys are enjoying what we've been doing so far, but enough about what we're doing. I want to get opinions out there. So a couple other people are going to be coming in, but we're going to dive into the deep end in this. We can't talk about this topic right now without actually, let's see. Pop's fan stance says, I'm not a creator, can only give opinion from a fan point of view. Like I said, fans are just as important as creators. I firmly believe that fans are on the same level as creators. It's just that simple. There is no difference. We're symbiotic. We're the yin and the yang, and that your opinion is more than welcome on this show. It doesn't mean someone will agree with you, but the opinions are welcome on the show. And Vic King says, Mr. Anderson, you forgot the I, King. But that's okay, Vic. I can forgive. COMiXgate is a big thing. Who would have known? It pretty much is right now, because it's going to be the point of the topic today as we go on to talk about, and this is important, and I do want to say this isn't just about Dynamite. We do have other things to talk about with this topic, but the dangers of basically creators coming before comic books. So what does that mean? Well, we could talk about, and I'll let you guys pick where you want to start. We can talk about a publisher who thought they were so much more important than getting their books out and then their fans that they got in a lot of trouble, and how that seems to be a big theme now with crowdfunding. Well, I ran out of money, too bad. Or I needed it to go to a show. We could talk about that because they're putting themselves above the comics. They're not putting out the comics first and going to the fans first. Because when we said importance of comics go to fans. It really should be the comic, the publisher, and the fans at the same level, and the creator underneath it. And if you're self-publishing, of course, you are the publisher right there next to the fan. But if you're working for a publisher, I don't think you should have the same say. And what happened in Dynamite this week was very embarrassing for a creative industry that is now blackballing people based on association, and not even necessarily always the truth. Or we could talk about the other end of it, where creators themselves are now literally putting their names on covers. Like they're Jim Henson's Muppets, without earning that name. Is there a danger in this new breed of creators who think that their ego has to come before the quality of their product and the product of itself? We'll go with Katrina because she was the first one to tell me she wanted to be on the show. Where do you want to jump in on the deep end? Because we could also talk about poor shipping if you want. I'm open to that.
I just want to say regarding poor shipping, I've got books that are going out this week, and I just want to show you this.
Let me get you in the screen. Hold on. Show it off.
See, you can kind of see I haven't taped it down yet. Proper mailers.
Those are just a little important, aren't they?
They are desperately important. I mean, we're talking about, getting your stuff out to the fans.
So let's start there.
Get your stuff out quality to the fans.
And that's a creator putting themselves ahead of fans right there. You don't realize it, but it really is. Mm-hmm. It's that moment where everyone has told me that I should do it this way, but I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it the cheaper way and complain about the cost of the book and how expensive it is to create comics. And in fairness, it is certainly expensive. I have paid less for cars than I have for some of my comics. Truthfully, true story. Less cars that I have owned than actual comic books I've been part of creating.
But, and I think, I was afraid, because I've heard that excuse. Oh, it's just so much more expensive to use proper mailers than going down to Walmart and buying, bubble mailers. And guys, these mailers cost me about 50 cents a piece.
Yeah, when you buy them
on Amazon. Like I didn't go to some. I bought 50 of them, and with tax, it cost me $30. I mean, that's cheaper, and they came to my door, so I didn't have to drive to Walmart. I mean, so it becomes a matter of you're putting yourself above the product, above your fans, because it's sheer laziness. It took me less than 5 minutes to go to Amazon and search book mailers and find something that was highly rated and at a reasonable price. And 2 days later it was at my door.
And go ahead.
No, I mean that's just kind of it. It's just, I understand that time is valuable, but that was 5 minutes, guys.
time isn't that valuable because if you really think about it, you had a month of kickstarting, crowdfunding before you had to get there. You should have known this was coming.
Yeah.
Like you said, these aren't big expenses. And look, Gemini is now the standard, but it doesn't mean you have to do that. I will explain to everyone, and then we're going to let JD do this. You want a really cheap way to do it, and you want to use an envelope, you can do it. Go to Costco, go to BJ's, get the boxes. Get the cardboard boxes that are for free. Take them home, get yourself a box cutter, box cut protection. This is a cheap life hack. If you can't afford it, if you are that desperate, if you international shipping really got you, there is a free way to do it, to get it shipped out. Will people look at you funny? Yeah, I'm going to be honest. You're not going to be seen. But if you put that cardboard and you get it there safe, they'll say, well, you should have used the Gemini or you should have done better. But you got me okay. I've heard people say that because I've put cardboard in the past. But that's what I didn't know about Geminis. Geminis only came into the scene about, what, a year ago now? Gemini really became the popular, maybe 2 years now. I'm getting old. But I remember a few years ago, we were all using the envelope. We were all sending it out. And then the postman all made it like a pizza and folded it up and stuck it into the box.
We all had taco comics.
Yeah, taco. And that was just part of it. When you'd see do not bend, do not bend. The actual part where the sticker said do not bend was bent and coming off the package. The post office does not care about your comics, kid. They don't care at all. JD, what's your experience with shipping, then?
All right. So I've, I think I've shipped out 17, maybe 18 different campaigns between Indiegogo and Kickstarter. I don't think I've had a single complaint. So, I mean, and I've done it the cheap way. I don't use Gemini mailers, but I use something from Uline that was similar to what Cat had. And I mean, it's simple. It's just like Rob said. You can go to UPS or you can go to FedEx or even your local post office. They have these shipping boxes they give away for free. You take those, just like you said, you just cut them down. You sandwich them between, and don't just use one, use two. You sandwich your books between them and get a big roll of bubble wrap, the small bubbles, and you wrap the book in that, and you make sure it's secure and bag and board it before you put it in a bag. Invest in bag and boards. Don't just send out just a plain comic. It's just cheesy. Just don't do it. Please provide your customers with bags and boards. Bubble wrap it, sandwich it between two pieces of cardboard. If the cardboard, sometimes on those boxes is sometimes a little thin, they're for free. Cut out another set and sandwich them, tape them all together, put them in a bubble mailer, and you send them off. That's the cheapest way to do it. So I mean, yeah, if you can't afford Gemini, and here's the other thing. If you can't afford Gemini mailers, if you can't afford regular mailers, I'll be honest with you, you got bigger problems than just shipping out comics. You probably shouldn't have done a Kickstarter or anything else. You should just wait until you can do these things properly before even doing them. And I mean, and that's one of the things we don't talk about. Sometimes people just aren't prepared in life in general to do this stuff. Look, if you got a problem feeding yourself, if you got a problem putting gas in your car, you got a problem paying your rent, you got bigger issues, you need to take care of those issues first before you get into this. This is a luxury for us, the creators, and it's a luxury for the fans. And we're trying to provide, that fun for those fans. That's the luxury part of it. For me, I love this. I would love to one day do it as a profession. I did it for a little while in the 90s, but currently it's my hobby and I do it for fun. And I do it and I share the fun that I make. I share with people. That's how I look at it. I share my creativity. I share with people, and that's what I want to consistently do. And by doing that, I want to send the best quality books I can to people. And you have to package it right.
Yeah. I mean, the last thing that I want is, I guess a little slightly different aspect is I put a lot of work into my books. Mm-hmm. The last thing I want to do is to treat my own work as junk.
Right.
When I have a customer who gets a book, I'm not up to having fans yet. I just have customers.
No. You aren't fans. Yeah. Honestly, I'll say I've seen people talk very highly about your work. Don't diminish that. You've earned that respect from this community. Everyone that talks.
I appreciate that. But the last thing I want is, I take pride in what I do, and the work that I do. The last thing I want is to just send that to somebody and somebody go, she doesn't take any pride in what she does. Look at the condition this is in. Mm-hmm. My books that I'm shipping out are author copies that I got from Amazon. And I'm fussing because I must have had something, just normal hand oil on my hands when I was touching them. And there's a little spot on one of the comics. It's like, oh, well, that one can't go out. That one went back in my box. That's my personal copy now. You know, as I'm not going to send you something that you're not going to open and go, wow, this is great.
Yeah, I have some signed copies where I screwed up my own signature. I know that sounds stupid, but when you do it 100 times, every so often you get distracted or you just hit something wrong. You take the book, you throw it in the back, and then when you're on the show and someone's like, well, I only got like $5, I can't afford it. And you're like, well, I got this damaged copy that you can get, you know, or it's something like that. You make a deal, you throw it in with someone else. Oh, it's a damaged copy. But you're right. I mean, I put everything in a board and bag unless it doesn't fit, because some of my books are 60 pages. So they go in a bag at least. The boards don't fit. But they're in a package where it's never going to get bent. Plus, my covers are very thick stock. So they don't really necessarily need the board when there's 60 pages. 32, absolutely. Wrap it up. Get it out there. It's like the people who don't wear masks. Those are the people who will ship you the books in a mail.
And probably coughed on them while packing them.
And I've gotten that. Like, I've gotten the damage and stuff. Like, I'm obsessive. When I have the Gemini mailer, I tape the tops so dirt doesn't get in. And the reason I do that is I got a book with dirt inside of it. I didn't blame the creator. I don't even like bringing it up to a creator unless I think it's a huge issue. And they put it in a board and bag. So guess what? They did the right thing. I didn't get any. I just switched the board and bag out. Didn't blame them for it, but that made me think, ooh, I'm never doing this again. Especially in Florida with all the bugs that are down here. I had an idea of an ant getting in. I was like, oh, no. I can't do that. Because I had something outside and I opened up a book and there was an ant in it. And I was like, oh, I hate little things. All right.
I just have to say, messing up your signature does not sound stupid at all to me, because you're talking to the girl who yesterday thought she was trapped in her car for like 4 minutes. Because I went to open my door and my door handle snapped off in my hand. And it took me that long to realize I could just roll my window down and reach out and let myself out. So,
don't feel too bad. I got caught in a car once, but it was power, so there was no roll back. The power went out, and I was like, I don't know how to get out of here.
I was going to say, that is the one benefit of having the car that I have, that it is the basest of base models. You know, everything is manual, manual windows, manual locks. There's no cruise control, which I cry over on a regular basis. Because I live in the middle of nowhere, so I do a lot of like highway driving, and not having. I went from a car with cruise control to one that doesn't have it. It took me about 6 weeks to be able to regulate my speed. I'd catch myself on the freeway either going 60 or 90. Speed limit 70. Yeah, my poor youngest, who would drive with me, he's like, "Mom, you're gonna get us killed," and I'm like,
"But we're getting there faster."
All right,
that's right.
We have some comments I do want to get to, because we want to make the audience feel like they're part of this show.
All right.
Most CG creators are putting the customers first. They have been a couple of failings. There's always going to be failings. But yes, the COMiXgate community seems to actually put customers first. I do. I have to admit that from what I've seen. The rhetoric sometimes does push buttons, but they're deliberately rhetoric-based. I mean, you have to understand. Going into COMiXgate, too many people take them serious like they're running for an office. They know who they're aiming for. It's like the Beavis and Butthead crowd. Beavis and Butthead, when they come back, they're not looking for all of you. They're looking for people like me who think it's funny. Remember that. You guys forget that when it comes to COMiXgate. And you're being agreed with by Vic.
Well, thanks, Vic.
There's Meredith. Meredith is actually not in the show for once.
Hey, Meredith.
Meredith, if you want to come in, you're more than welcome. You got keys to it. Bag, board, Gemini, and bubble wrap up. Yeah, exactly. That's what I have people literally, like, when they open up the box, they're like, at first they kind of giggle about it, but then they see it and they're like, no, this is serious. I like this. This is how it is. Rebel's saying hi to Vic. Popsman then said, been getting Lady Death comics in Geminis for 5 years. I know they've been around for a while, but it didn't become a standard for all indie creators for a while. Because when they originally came out, they were not cheap. The original Geminis were way more expensive. It took them a while, like anything else, to become mass-produced, become a bigger company, and become affordable. Uline, the one thing I've heard about Uline, and I have seen this, is Uline has a tendency to shift during packaging, during shipping. So if you're using bubble wrap inside and something to get the corners, you have a problem, where the Gemini kind of staples it in better, the way that So that is the big difference between the two. Hey, Rebel. Good to see you, bro. It is $3 supplies for each comic. If you cannot wrap your head around that, get out of COMiX. I don't even think it's $3 in supplies for me. Honestly, I think like Katrina, 50 cents for it. Whatever tape is, you're talking pennies for tape. A little bit of bubble wrap, maybe another 50 cents. And I think the postage is the most expensive thing at the shipping.
Yeah.
That's why I never charge more than $5 to $7 for shipping. Yeah, unless you're international. If you're international, I'm sorry for those listening on the DEViL's radio. I wish we could do something. Trust me, at Terraform Comics, we're trying to figure out a way to maybe get a partnership across the pond where we can help each other out. So that is one of the goals we have. I don't know whether it's going to do it or not, but we'll see. He is right to make comics. It takes money. It always takes money to do anything in life. If you have no money, don't try this. Now, I wouldn't say that. There's always something about passion. Look, I mean, if you can be the person who you're struggling in life but can separate the two worlds, hey, I got to make rent, I'm struggling, but if I crowdfund, none of that money can go for my rent, then you'll be fine. If you separate the two worlds, you'll never have an issue. But if you get a Kickstarter funded and the next day you're getting movie tickets and concert tickets and you're booking conventions, which will be our next topic, then yeah, you're going to run into some problems and you're not going to have a good circumstance. Especially we've heard where creators are like, well, I ran out of money, so here, I'm gonna send you a PDF, go to your local shop and have it printed. Here's a certificate to have your book printed. You send me that, I guarantee you I'm printing 100 copies of that book and selling it. And when they say I'm going to say that I had a certificate that I could print it, it's your certificate only said you could print one. Yeah, I printed one, and then I printed another one, and I printed another one. I told them to print 100 once for me. You know, like, you're going to be a smartass, I'll be a smartass back, and I'll just sell your books. That's insulting. No, if I pay you to deliver me a book, you got to deliver me a book or a damn good reason why you can't. I understand. People get sick. Absolutely. Bad things happen. But like JD says, you got to kind of know what's going on in your life. Never commit to something, and if something's going wrong, be honest about it. Fall on the sword. There are guys out there who are like, look, everything went wrong. Listed down, heartbreaking stuff. I no longer have the money. I'm going to get you the book still. I'm going to have to do it 10 at a time. It's going to take 5 years. Here's the PDF. I will not kickstart or fund anything until this gets done. I want to help a person like that because I get that. We've all been in life. When life is not a fun thing. Welcome to 2020. If you didn't think life was fair, you learned in 2020 it wasn't fair. And we're going to be talking about privilege today, but like everyone has felt 2020 and how bad it is. So I think we all know better now. So,
but then there's definitely the difference between, you know, hey, I took your money and I did this versus I got deathly ill. And now I'm, you know, months and maybe years. I've got a book that I did backed on Kickstarter 2 years ago, I think. And the difference between me throwing my hands up and going, this guy's a loser, and not is communication. Right. You know, he is always, you know, sent out updates. Every time he gets, you know, a new piece of art for the book, he posts it, you know, so we know it's coming. And you still have confidence in that creator versus, you know, the guy who takes your money and disappears and maybe sends you a PDF.
Well, and I totally agree. I haven't announced it yet on my Kickstarter. I'm going to have to. And one of the reasons I haven't announced this, but I've publicly said it, and a lot of the people who back me have been on my page of my last Kickstarter. Because it's my earlier work. And I didn't expect a lot of people to want the earlier work. We all know earlier work is also code for not as professional, not as polished. So it's harder to sell. That's why I had an extremely low goal for it. I never expected to make money. My mother's in the hospital right now. As of recording this, she's in critical condition. And she's in the ICU. We don't know what's going on. So I don't know what the next month of my life could be. And we're in COVID. I might have to go up to New York City. I might have to, and that's 14 days of quarantine going up. I don't know if I'll have the internet up there. I just don't know what the rest of, like I've told everyone very clearly, I am not committing to any programs. I am not committing to doing anything. I am day by day at this point. I even warned, I'm going to be here for this. I knew. So my son was going with his mom. I wouldn't be able to go to New York. So we can't even go up there and be in the hospital. We are restricted from that hospital. So if we go up to New York, it'll mean, unfortunately, that she has passed away. And we'll be going up to close out the house. And we'll have to stay in the house we grew up, me and my sister, to basically finish up there. and we'll have to be in quarantine. She is asthmatic. I don't want her traveling. And my mom's a smoker, so that house will be dangerous for her. All that's going on in my head, and I have this Kickstarter. Now, if I didn't have all this in my head, I would have already finished the book, but I'm on the phone with my family, playing telephone, talking to people, trying to make plans. My whole schedule is rocky now, so I'm going to have to send out that update that goes, hey, you know me, I'll deliver, but I might need a little extra time for once. Something happens. I do put in my things. If something, God-given, an emergency, something comes up, there might be delays, but I promise I will get you the book as long as I'm alive. And that's the commitment I have to them. I don't care if I have to go out and do all these videos on OnlyFans without my shirt on, because apparently that made a big stir when I did a shirtless thing and I got OnlyFans. I'm going to get you what you backed on me, because I can't, oh man. Every time someone backs me, I am embarrassed. I am shy about it. I am like blown away by it. And if that ever changes, I'm getting out of comics. Every person who buys my book, especially when they talk about it, I can't. I know you're creators. You probably feel the same way. You're like, it's like when your parents, when you were a little kid, gave you that good job, and you're like, that's how I feel.
I know. I totally get that. I had my first book came out just over a week ago, and all these people bought it, and I was like, oh my god, people are actually buying it. Followed by I'm signing a few copies. They're going out as comp copies and such, and a couple that were I did a giveaway with, and somebody commented on the picture, and it's somebody who isn't known for liking kids stuff, and he's like, I really liked your book, and I couldn't stop myself from typing, oh my god, really? Yeah, and sitting there just in shock that, oh my god, something that I did somebody else actually likes, and I think like Rob said, the day that stops, the day that I stop appreciating every single backer or person who says, hey, I liked this, I'm done.
Yeah.
It's important. I mean, I went to a show once where I would go annually. This was at Pittsburgh Comic-Con, and this gentleman, his son would come, and he just thoroughly enjoyed what I was doing with Oswald Chronicles, and his father would just thank me profusely for making the book. And they would buy the books, but they would he'd just be like, thank you. Because I guess his son was, he had some learning disabilities. But this, at the time I was writing them in prose. It wasn't even a comic book. So it was just all in prose. So you see, it's the only thing that got him to read. So he was really, really, really enjoying it. And, and he was just super duper happy that I was creating this stuff. So.
That's my story. That's absolutely my story. X-Men cartoon. Wanted to know more about the X-Men. Picked up X-Men comics, and now 30 years later, I mean, I actually have. I'm doing this 8-page story for New York Comic Con for Buddy Valera, a panel I used to go to in New York Comic Con. I say used to because I'm not sure if there will be one this year. If there's one next year, I'll be there. You all know what's going on. By the way, I just want to mention you have another fan, Katrina, in Pop's Man's Van. It says now that you're a fan.
I hope your grandkids love it. I really do.
But absolutely, I mean, I had to write my journey as a creator, and it was such a wild thing. And I sent it to Chris Matt, who's going to be part of the book. For those who know Chris Matt, he does amazing art. We met at New York Comic Con. Have been friends for over a decade because of that panel, and we still blown away when people say nice things about our stuff. You get stupid. Like when a hot person's talking to you, you're like, stop, no, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm just gonna run away. And like I said, if I ever don't feel that way, I know I've done something wrong. I'm blown away by it. Even when I've had people buy the book and they've had comments that might even be considered negative. And people are like, aren't you upset? I'm like, no, they bought a copy. They have every right. The minute they buy a copy, if they don't like it, I respect that.
Not only did they read it.
Yeah, they read it. They wanted to have a conversation about it. And most of the things, I'm lucky enough that it has been small enough things that no one's ever said I can't write. The biggest complaint I've honestly gotten is I shouldn't be writing a female narrative. And I am a creator who will never accept that. I will write anything I feel like writing. And if I don't do a good job, you can call me to the mat, tell me I haven't done a good job. But when your complaint is I shouldn't be doing it because I have a PP, you've lost the argument, at least with me. And someone who has a PP is Luke Stone.
I do. Yeah.
I just love bringing him in that way.
What a fun intro there. That's
Nice.
I've been identified as a lot of things, but that's the first time I've been called to the stage because of that.
Luke has a peepee. I haven't seen it though, so I can't verify, but he does have a kid, so one's gonna assume that he has a peepee. He doesn't know what to say. Welcome, Luke.
I really don't. Yeah. My name is Luke Stone. I am the writer and artist behind a book called Hybrids: The Sons of Gods. I'm also the artist behind a book called Voodoo Nations, live on Kickstarter right now. And I am the editor at a group called Terraform COMiX. Please go to terraformcomics.com and sign up for our mailing list. We have some great and exciting news coming in the next few days.
All right, and we're getting through the comments before we go to the next one. Real quick, we have. Sorry, it's actually the wrong one. Yeah, I'm always accidentally signing my art at Jim Lee. People still buy it though. Hey man, hustle's a hustle. Hustle's a hustle. That's all I gotta say about that.
If they don't notice, it's on them.
Yes, I'm wearing a tie. Actually, I figured on the Devil's Advocate, I'm going to start actually wearing a tie. They say dress for the job you want, and I want to rule the world, so I'm going to wear a tie, because apparently the people who rule the world wear ties. So for this one, Devil's Advocate, I'm going to wear a tie, and it's going to freak people out. And I can see it's already working. All right, Sarah Waver says, hello. Hello, Sarah. Rodney Fire say, hey, JD, long time no see. I guess she was your interview this evening.
Yes, he was my interview. What's up, Rodney?
I hear you, Pops Van Zandt. We don't hear you because you're just in the chat room, but we read you. We read you, Pops. Whoops, be right back. Okay, Sarah, here we go. Yeah. I don't know where we're going. LPH, the Legend of the Rent is way hardcore. Jack Black. I don't even, that reference is over my head.
Oh, no, man, that's a Tenacious D reference. The Legend of the Rent is
yeah.
way hardcore.
Yeah, I'm not Tenacious. I like their music, but I just never got into them heavy. I don't know. Oh, I know why. I was married at the time. You know when you're married and you're married to someone who doesn't like the same stuff as you do, and you have to kind of pick and choose where your battles are and what you're going to watch. God, do I love being single now. I just go, do I want to watch that? Yes, I do. No debate. Here we go.
Been there.
Yeah, communication is key when shit goes sideways. Absolutely. Most people will understand. It also helps you have a history of delivering. And it also shows your fans that you're going to never think that they're not important enough to reach out and talk to. They're enjoying it, says Pops Van Zandt. Terraform, awesome. That is awesome, Terraform. Some great people behind it. That looks strapping.
Must be talking about your tie.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I forgot I was even wearing one now. Like, it's weird. I used to be a manager, so this is not that uncommon for me. Sometimes I feel weird because I haven't dressed up in a while. I call this dressing up. I put on a Batman outfit. I wouldn't even consider it dressing up. Like, this is cosplay to me, guys. This is how I cosplay. I look like a respectable human being who you can trust, and I won't come and steal your soul. The truth is, I'm coming for all your souls. I will.
Just shows looks can be deceiving.
That's right. I have a few souls already in my possession, and I don't know. I'm not kidding. They actually signed them over to me. I figure you need some souls in life, just in case, right? If you ever need a favor. Rebel Gaming says, we are, where are the Facebook comments coming from? I see this video on 3 different spots. I don't see any of the comments. I don't know. I can't answer that.
If I were to guess, I would say Facebook.
I would also say kudos to you for being that dedicated that you're watching in 3 spots.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's commitment. There's commitment. Which one is ahead of the other? Like, are they synced perfectly? I wonder. Sarah, LW Fluza. How would you say that? And take a guess. Anyone in the room?
Fluiza?
Fluiza. Okay.
Fluiza, yeah.
Okay, cool. Sarah Weaver is my normal author name. Sorry about that. Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Oh, well, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, so here we are, second part of the topic tonight. We're going to go with publishers now. Since we talked about the creator, we'll go to publishers, and then we'll finish with the big topic over at Dynamite. So, all right, we have creators out there who trust publishers to be part of their thing. With Terraform, this is something we're looking at. Other creators coming in and joining us. They run a Kickstarter, promise they're going to get a book out, and then all of a sudden they decide to go out and put themselves ahead of the comics by getting tables, by trying to get scantily clad art for different books. for basically becoming someone that can't be trusted. And during this moment, they are destroying other people's reputations. And then not only are they bad, but the other creators within that group start telling everyone who's calling them out to shut up because it might affect the amount of money that's going to raise for their book. That's another bad moment in our industry where the comics are no longer the most important thing. It's creators and their perceived futures, and not caring about the people who've been, buying books and backing it on Kickstarter, and reputations getting ruined. What do you guys think about that? Because we've seen it. It's not just one person now. There's been a couple publishers who are not fulfilling. How does that make you feel as creators and just watching what's going on? We'll start with Luke, since he was first in the room this time. I mean, last week.
Yeah. Well, I think that the term publisher is something that has kind of created this kind of perception for the people around, for fans and for creators alike. And I think that is something that shouldn't be taken very lightly. And when I see these publishers out there that are conducting themselves unprofessionally, and I think not fulfilling is unprofessional. So when I see these publishers conducting their business unprofessionally, it doesn't give me a lot of hope for anyone that just kind of comes up and throws that term publisher around. There's three things publishers really need. They need an audience, they need distribution, and they need capital. And a lot of these people have a Facebook page. That's what they have. And they've started a Kickstarter. And I know that, in my regular work, I'm all about people, and I know that life happens, and things come up, and situations rise that sometimes are unexpected. But at the end of the day, you still have to try to work through those things in order to fulfill your obligations and your duties as a publisher. Because it's not just you or the people that, that you are. It's no longer just a personal entity. Now it's multiple people involved. You're representing an artist, you're representing other creative teams, and you're representing the fans. And so there's kind of this kind of big overarching responsibility to get the job done and get it done right, and to take care of people. Now, the whole idea of the creator kind of outweighing the creation these days. I understand it's difficult for people to separate politics and the art from one another, but we have to get to a point to where we are focusing more on the art and less on the name, I think. And we see this in kind of two ways. We see that people are so focused on the name that they don't want to even look at people's art, or look at what people have created. They just want to say, oh, well, this is how they voted last November, or the last election, and so that's how they want to make their choice on what the artist has done. But in turn, we also see that there's people that they have a name, quote unquote, a name, and that they're able to get by with really subpar work just because they have some recognizable name or some kind of credit to them that if you or I tried to create something of that low caliber, we would not be able to, it would not pass for our fans or for our critics.
That's very true. Anyone else want to comment on the bad operating publishers out there who don't do the right thing, basically, and put themselves ahead of the comics that they're creating?
I know for myself, I consider whenever I do a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo or any type of crowdfunding, and I commit to what I'm giving to the fans, you've made a commitment. You've made a promise to these people to deliver these items to them, in a timely fashion. I've waited for Kickstarters. I think I got one that was 7 years old, and it's just like, why did it take you 7 years to produce this? I'm waiting on a couple others that are 5 and 6 years old. And then, you hear from the creators, they're like, oh, I'm working on it. And that's lovely, but you should do your honest best to get the work done before you launch a campaign. The work should be done in the can, pre-press ready. So then that way, as soon as the campaign is done, you can send it straight to the printer, get the stuff back, ship it out. And this way, the fans get what they want. You get to, continue your process with whatever you're doing, and everybody's happy. But some people, they're just either irresponsible, not thinking ahead, or they're just selfish. And the problem is sometimes difficult when you see some of these, I guess, professionals, allegedly, when they produce these books, and they're like, oh, well, I raised all this money, but I did it so I could sit on my butt and draw the book, but it's just like, look, dude, not for nothing, allegedly you're a professional. You should have gotten the book done first, I mean, and that's just the way I view it, because the way I see it is, you're not a professional. You're just a cog in a machine that needs to be told what to do. And in the end, it says you're not a pro. You're just some person that's doing this stuff. You just might as well be a rank amateur at that point.
I think pro is also thrown around a little too much. In comics, really, there aren't professionals. We're all just grown children making comic books. Mm-hmm. And it's those who are professional, not pros. Pros is, I got hired from Marvel and DC. We've seen a lot of people get hired from Marvel and DC. They go up, they come down, and we're going to be talking a lot about that with the Dynamite story. But I wanted to hear Katrina's thoughts on this, because I know you've worked with publishers, right? You have actually been editing for a little bit of publishers. Does that ever concern you, their reputation rubbing off on you if something goes wrong?
Absolutely. I mean, I do, everything's freelance for me. I'm sorry. I keep itching my nose. There's a cat hair or something. It's driving me nuts. I swear I'm not, like just being weird, but yeah, I mean, most of my projects are, freelance for individual creator. I do work with Altworld Studios, and that's why I'm kind of cringing at JD right now, because we just wrapped our Kickstarter last night. So over it. It's so much work. And the book isn't done. It really was a case of needing the funds to pay the artist. And for me, though, I have worked with I've worked with Nick for about 5 years now. Veronica, I think probably 3 or 4 issues now we've done with her. And I trust my team. And I'm not going to lie, my first comment last night after we funded, Nick, posted, we have a group chat, and he posted, oh my God, I'm so proud of you guys, for all your work and stuff. I said, oh, that's great. Now get your asses to work. because yeah, I have had people come to me and go, where is this book? Not with them, but with other, with other groups. And my response is, I don't know. I'm just the person who fixes the commas on that book. I don't have some secret insight to anything. So for me, that's kind of almost why I like where I'm at as a freelancer, and why I'm not in any big rush to attach myself to anybody. Because, I think it all kind of trickles downhill to everybody involved, and they go, well, you were on the project. Why didn't you fix it? Because I don't have that control, guys.
I think a lot of times people mistake editor from Marvel and DC and indie. A lot of times in indie, while Luke is our editor over at Terraform Comics, and yes, he would be in charge of those questions. An editor in comics is actually not what most people think it is. They're the people fixing the mistakes is really what it is. The top editor comes from the newspapers. They're the ones making creative control issues. They're making sure that editorial is right. They're not always the same. So before you start asking an editor that you see that, why not ask them, hey, are you in charge of the project, or are you just working as an editor on the project? Because then you'll get your answer really
most of the time, guys, I'm not the editor-in-chief. I'm not in charge of bringing projects in. I'm not in charge of approving projects. That's not what I do. My job is story direction, if asked for that. It's does the sometimes it's does the art match what it's supposed to be. A lot of times, depending what the project is, it may just be that I get the script and I proofread it and make sure that it makes sense, and commas are where commas go, and an ellipsis has 3 dots. Yeah. It just depends. Yeah, editor in comics, it's a little weird because people aren't always sure what that means.
Yeah, well, there's like it's just kind of like an artist with comics. There's different kind of artists. There's layout artists, there's pencilers, there's inkers, there's colorists. All of those people are artists, and the same way with editing. There's project managers, there's editors in chief, there's copy editors, there's story editors. Just because you have a title editor, it doesn't necessarily mean one thing or the other. Now, for me, yeah, I'm technically the editor in chief, but if you see that term editor, do not expect me to spell anything correctly or punctuate anything properly. I have copy editors for that. That's not the kind of editing that I do. It's more of an overarching, hey, let's go this direction and let's do this kind of stuff. But there should always be, with every kind of Kickstarter, if there's definitely a publisher involved, there should be somebody at the helm that's driving the force, that this is where we're going. Now, there can be other people that are in that group, like for my most recent experience with Terraform, where there's other contributors within the group that have say, or maybe even drive some initiatives and things like that. But the overarching direction of a group or a representative entity like a publisher, there should be somebody that that is taking responsibility for those things. And there are cases where you're going to run a Kickstarter, you're going to run a project, and you need the funds in order to do the art, like where you've just talked about, Katrina, where you're at right now. And that's perfectly fine, as long as that's well communicated to the people that are going to give you your hard-earned money to do that project. Too many times people will say, oh, it's done, and it is not done. And I've recently had someone that I backed for a project that was supposed to be fulfilled earlier this year say, oh, well, things got in the way. I'm not going to be able to fulfill it this year, so I'm going to go ahead and run some other campaigns. And I'm like, no, you're not getting my money, because that's not how this works. There's no way I'm giving you more of my money to not produce another book, because you say you can't pay your artist. Well, you funded for nearly $5,000. Find out how to take some of that money to pay your artist so that he can get the work done. Get the book done, get it out to your fans, get it out to the people that paid for it, and then move on to the next project. And that's where we get where the hiccup comes in, where people will there's a lot of these smaller publishers that will try to run a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo for one project. What will happen is they will need those funds for something else. They misappropriated those funds, or they didn't understand, like, how much shipping was really going to cost, or maybe the production went a little bit longer than what they thought, and it was the cost got away from them. They didn't really manage that number very well. And then what they do is they run another Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and they use the money from that to pay for the last one. And then they get themselves in this cycle where they're constantly trying to run a new project in order to pay for the project before, hoping that one of them will explode and be able to pay for both or three of them, or something like that. And you get yourself into a cycle where you just can't dig out of that. And eventually you just got to hit the reset button, or you've got to pay the piper. You've got to admit to it and move on from it. But that usually happens when these smaller publishers try to bite off more than they can chew. With Terraform COMiX, I understand, we're a small group. And so we're taking baby steps. We do have this big motto, changing the landscape of comics. But we understand that, you don't, the Grand Canyon wasn't created the way it was overnight. It took a long time to change that landscape. And so publishers need to understand that you've got to take little chunks out of these things. And some of these smaller publishers are just way too ambitious with some of the stuff they do, and it gets them in trouble. And then it creates a problem within the indie comics industry. But then we also see this in some of the larger publishers as well. When COVID-19 hit and production halted, we found out that some of these larger companies were only 2 weeks out. Like, that's all they had operating funds for, was 2 weeks. And it started making my small business feel a lot more comfortable knowing that, well, I've got a lot longer than 2 weeks aside for myself. But when you start looking at that when something like this comes along that can upset the flow of business, that a lot of these businesses aren't as well off as what we think they are. They're overextended. They've got cost in one place over the other. The movie industry's struggling.
But I think
there's all kinds of shit with that.
That's just business, though. Business can go up and down. I think the moment is when the choice is made, like you said, where the people are actively gambling on Kickstarter. I think that's the moment where comics is no longer important to them. Their desire to be popular takes over. They kind of get in their own head. Well, look how good I'm doing. And like Luke said, you're not. You're behind. You're not. If you're delivering every book and kickstarting every month, and you're getting a book out a month, God bless it, man. Like, yeah, I want to support that, right, Luke? That's the goal, right? To get the books out. And I happen to be in charge of logistics, and Luke hates me because I'm always the guy who has the bad news. I'm always the one who's like, well, I don't know if we can do this. And Luke's like, Rob, what's the answer? Don't give me the problem.
Yeah,
I'm like,
just figure it out. Yeah.
But, you know, I happen to be that guy in the thing. But it is true, and I do that because I don't want to ever put us ahead of the fans. When we say comics, we're also talking about the fans. How many times have fans been upset with DC because All-Star didn't come out? They started buying that book with the expectation that the issues would be coming out, and now that they're upset, and we talk about Marvel and DC, the bigger publishers in the room, and that's what really pisses fans off is when they're giving their money, they want a complete story, and these publishers are just like, well, we can't get it done. There's no drive, there's no passion to get it done. And that seems to have trickled into comics to certain creators where they're like, well, you know, I crowdfunded, but it's crowdfunding. You knew there was a risk. I've seen people actually say that, and I'm like, yeah, there's a risk to go outside in a convention. I wouldn't go to a convention then, 'cause you're going to find all those backers right at your table wanting some money back, you know? And you see it. Like Luke said, how many with that creator, you know the story behind what happened there. What ended up happening? Tell them the happy ending, Luke.
I'm sorry. Well, I missed that last thing you said.
Happy ending with the Kickstarter, the guy who had the Kickstarter who decided one was too hard to finish. He'll get back to it when he has time.
Not me, but some other people complained about it, and that creator was told that they needed to cancel that Kickstarter, and so he canceled that Kickstarter so that he could get back to funding and fulfilling the other one. So.
And that's what we want to see. That's why you don't see Marcel as much on Kickstarter. But to his credit, we've said it on the program, Marcel's trying to get things done now. He's moving forward. We're very happy. And this show is not just about demeaning people. It's not the goal. We're not trying to ruin anyone's career. We bring light to things during this conversation. When someone's doing good, we'll say it as well. Things are going forward with Dog Days. There's I think the estimated delivery date for Dog Days is 2025 at the moment. But there's progress. We're getting there.
At least there's a date now.
Yes, I'm excited.
5 years down the road, at least there's something.
Yeah, I do have to say to Marcel's credit that, you know, he is buckling down and getting some stuff done. I see him posting some things on Twitter and things like that, and so he's working to right and correct the ship. And hopefully, you know, it was a lesson well learned. Hopefully, it's a lesson well learned from all small publishers in the indie industry.
Yep.
Yeah, and if I might add something, if you're backing something on Kickstarter and you're a fan and you're concerned as to who to contact, you know, within the creative team as to who to contact, who's responsible, you'll always see on there a little picture, and it'll say, you know, started by this person. That's the person who the money goes to. Okay, that's their account. That's their whatever it is, Kickstarter, Indiegogo. That's the person you need to complain to the loudest, because that's the one controlling the purse strings, because that's the one that's going to get the money. So, you know, if you ever have, you know, you don't need to contact the other creators, because usually they have nothing to do with logistics. It's usually that person who has that account. That's the one that's really in charge. Look at the kitty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody say hi to Dorian. Bye, Dorian.
But it's a very good point, JD. And it's always generally going to be that. The biggest problem with the Marcel situation, the reason we took it so serious, and I hated when people defended him, was because in that case, he was having other people's name in that crosshair. Mm-hmm. To get away with being on Kickstarter, he would have other people's names there, but he'd take the money. So now that in that rare case, they weren't really in control of anything, and they were stuck trying to answer. It was heartbreaking. But like we said, we don't really want to rehash that. What made me more mad were people defending him just because they thought they could make money off of it. That is the worst thing ever, when creators are like, well, my book's coming out, so he won't do it to me. And sure enough, in 6 months, guess who comes knocking on my door? Mm. You know, oh, it happened. It's like, I hate to make the metaphor, but it's true. It's that bad boy we all knew in our circles, the guy who broke all the girls' hearts. and or the girl who broke all the guys' hearts, and they wound up dating your friend, and your friend swore it wasn't going to happen to them. It was different. It was different. And then, sure enough, they're on your couch crying. I can't sleep. Did it to me. And you're like, yeah, dick, I told you. Like, where do you expect this sympathy to come from? I'll check the fridge and see if there's any sympathy in there for you, because right now I don't got any. And that's kind of how we felt with the situation with Marcel. Again, we're happy to see him doing better. But then we have to realize that in this industry, the creators can't come first. So before we get to the top story, let's talk about, what do you guys feel about creators putting their names on their books? I'll go out there. I'm not talking about in the credits line. I'm talking about Rob Anderson's Barbara Unleashed. I find that if you do that, I won't back your campaign. Unless you are like Stan Lee, and it's like Stan Lee Presents, that you better have earned a damn name.
It just seems really narcissistic.
Well, like, there's a couple of reasons. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kat.
No, I'm just it baffles me. I guess because again, I don't see myself, as this, and I don't see, a lot of, I work with a lot of creators and that kind of stuff in a cattail, and it just seems baffling to me. Like, do you really think that highly of yourself? That you're like flashing lights Hollywood?
There's also another reason though. It could be part of trademark and copyright. Sometimes you can have like the same title as somebody else, but if you label it, like if I was to go JD Calderon's Thor, you understand? It's a separation of what another person's at. Because I've seen that happen before. Because I had somebody put out War Angel, which was a book that I was working on for a while, and I was thinking, I was like, I may have to put, JD Calderon's War Angel on it. You understand? So that's a way to sometimes separate it. I've seen creators sometimes do that. Sometimes it is narcissism, sometimes the other way around, And I know also the way the big companies work with this sort of thing, where you see, I don't know, I forgot the guy's name, but you'll see something's code name, whatever, and it's like a video game. Mm-hmm. Like, I forgot the guy's name, but and it's usually apostrophe S, so that he's not working on it, but he has somebody else working on it, and it's just part of a line. So they'll have a creator's name, like Techno Comics. So you had Neil Gaiman's, I forgot whatever the book was, but Neil Gaiman wasn't writing it, but he created it, and so it was Neil Gaiman's whatever, and then they released the book. So it just depends. So some people do it for different reasons.
Gaiman makes sense, but no offense to you, JD, but if you have to put your name above a title and you can't think of a creative new title, I'm still not gonna. I'm gonna be like, okay, you're not creative enough to come up with a new, like, oh, someone else has Thor, cool. I'll do the Odin's son Thor.
Right.
Boom, done. Didn't have to put my name all over the top. Because again, you have to have a name. Neil Gaiman, yeah, he has a name. Stan Lee, there's a name. Jack Kirby, there's a name. Those are people that, and if my name ever got that big, I would probably fight it left and right not to have my name on there. Because when my name's on there, the other parts of my team aren't on there. When you work with me, everyone who's ever worked with me, I've so far been lucky enough that a lot of them have said I'm very generous. I expect a lot, but I'm very generous with praise. I don't ever talk about. I talk about my team on every book. We talking about a book, I'm excited. I'm talking about everyone who worked on it and contributed. Even the editors, even the letterers, doesn't matter who they are part of the team. We do it as a group project. I feel like putting my name at the top of that, it shits all over. It does. Like, imagine you get Katrina, you get the book and it's Rob Anderson's Only Can Make Great Comics. And at the bottom, Katrina, like this little name there. How would that make you feel, right?
I mean, I have fought for a long time, for editors to get credit for what they do. Whether just, I had somebody say to me, well, you're just the proofreader on something. I said, well, what do you think? What heading does that go under? That's an editorial job, And so, I mean, I've fought, it's actually in all my work now that it's required that I have credit on every project I work on. Because again, I think all of the team is important. I get just frustrated if I see, the letterers not mentioned. I'm probably not. Kat, you are very distracting. I am probably not as so much as far as the cover goes, because I never see my name on covers anyway. I had one client once very first comic I ever worked on, who put my name on the cover as the editor, and I was absolutely baffled. And I actually would joke. He had me help him out at his table once at a show, and I was like, "You sure you guys don't want me to sign that too? My name's on the cover, you know." But I like to see equal credit. I like to, if it's on the cover and it's like, oh, Rob Anderson's, the most amazing person's comic ever, I'm probably gonna roll my eyes at you, but I guess as long as I'm on the inside, I guess I'm not as upset.
I disagree because look, I'm looking at Rob right now, right? And I'm telling you right now, Rob Anderson's Spanx and Hugs, I think, would make a great book. And Rob Anderson's Fetish Monsters, I think that would be a great book.
You kid, but I'm actually creating that.
I think JD's got a point though, that because we see your banners, we see your kind of things, that it almost makes sense to have your name at the top of that.
I could
because it's kind of like a brand.
Yeah, but I would put that on top. The creator of Fetish Monsters and More. That's the closest I'd ever come. Luke, you've been awfully quiet on this one. Is there a Luke Stone Presents book out there that we don't know about?
Not a chance, man. Not a chance. I ain't nobody, dude. I just feel like when you start slamming your name on stuff, I've seen a couple of independent creators in the industry. The blah 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 presents, and I'm like, to me it just feels like a big ego move. And I think humility is a really attractive trait in people. So I'm going to try to refrain from having those kind of things on my books.
Now, of course, a publisher's name makes complete sense. I do want to put that a publisher makes, because the publisher is a brand, is absolutely a brand. And Mike Watson came in. Did you ever think that it was about that person trying to build their brand? It starts early. In some fields, it needs to be consistent. It can be, but I'm still going to look at it as narcissistic. That's the problem with it. It could absolutely be you trying to do it. But as a fan of comics, I am going to look at it like this person's putting themselves ahead of everyone else on the team. That's always going to be my problem with it. So, yeah, they could absolutely be doing it.
What do you want your brand to say about you? Do you want your brand to say, I'm the most important person here?
Yeah.
That I matter more than, anybody else on the team, or I matter more than, the fans, or maybe even that I matter more than the content of the book.
Yeah.
Do you want to be known as the look at me person?
Think about how many movies have had a creator's name on top of the movie. Can you guys even think of one? I can actually think of one, but their name was put on after their death, and they are now a brand name. Well, Disney too. You could technically say Disney. I didn't think of that till now. But can you really think of a creator's name who comes on top of a movie? Books, yes. I get the books, but that's also because people are trying to track down the same book. And you get that with publishers. See, in comics, it's more the publisher, not the name of the individual person. Because we play, let's be honest, guys. We play the what is it? The chairs, the chair game. I can't think of
musical chairs.
Musical chairs?
Yeah, thank you. We play musical chairs in comics so often in the major publisher ranks that people are constantly turning over. We're going to be talking about that. But is it a good idea to put yourself ahead of that? I had to brand myself to explain myself so people knew who I was, because being an advocate for comics confused people. They thought because I was an advocate, I would have to act a certain way. And it was frustrating, actually, to be frank with you. I didn't like that. So the devil persona came out. I had to brand myself, but I'd never put my name on top of it. And that's a choice. Like when someone puts their name on top of a book, that's an active choice. And like Mike said, maybe they're just trying to build a brand. Maybe they're trying to make everything and they're going to be their own brand. But every time you run into someone who doesn't know who you are, they're going to look at you and go, you don't know who you are. Why is your name on there? And Mike also says, Mike, there's a link if you want to come in. With the State of Comics, the name of the writer and secondly the artist sells titles. That's an uncomfortable thing, but it happens. I honestly don't know how often that's realistically happening nowadays, to be honest. Donny Cates got popular while doing it. They brought over to do Superman. Oh, I know him. I see his face right now. I know I've spoken to the man. I can't think of him. He created Miles Morales. Someone throw me a landline.
Brian Michael Bendis.
Yes, they brought Bendis over to DC. His books didn't sell. His name didn't sell in DC. So I don't know if a name really sells, to be honest with you. And here's the ultimate truth. A name only sells until a name no longer sells, right? That's why people get taken off of books. That's why they're put onto new books. That's why they go to different publishers. Because eventually that name no longer sells like it once did. Don't get me wrong. When someone's hot, they're hot. And that just makes sense. Same thing with actors. This movie has Brad Pitt. Sign it up for $100 million. This movie is going to be a Marvel movie. Break out the checkbook. It's going to be $1 billion we're going to have to write to Marvel when we're done showing this movie. All that makes sense. But here he says it. That's a bad example because he's getting taken off of books now, Michael Watson. It didn't turn out the way they wanted it to. It's actually, he's now seemingly leaving DC if the rumors are true. And that's no. Mark Miller, I've never seen Mark Miller's name on top of a comic. Has anyone?
No,
just the Millerverse.
That makes sense because became a brand and he sold that. God bless him, he sold that. Robert Kirkman, was The Walking Dead Robert Kirkman's on top of the book? I've never bought a Walking Dead. Sorry, I just haven't. And Spawn, was Todd McFarlane's name on there? Now, Todd McFarlane sold 300 copies, but he didn't write all the 300 of Spawn. For those who don't know, he was always the creator. Of course. Thank you. That makes more sense now.
He was more on top of it than us.
Yeah. Come in, damn it, Mike. There's tons of links over here. But no, I mean, it is an interesting point. I just don't agree with it. As a fan of comics, because I'm a fan before I'm a creator, I don't like how it looks.
I was just thinking, kind of as we were talking about this, a couple of things. Now my book is not a comic. For those who don't know, it is a book of short stories for kids. But it was really awkward for me to see my name in big giant letters on the cover. I was like, I want this to be about the book. I want this to be about the stories. I don't want this to be about me. And I'm lucky that my cover artist just kind of rolled his eyes at me and went, "This is how books are done. You have to have your name on the cover." And I said, "Well, okay." And as far as is it always the artist or the writer that sells copies? I'm just making this all about me tonight. Yeah. But like I said, we just finished a Kickstarter, and I know for a fact that some of the people that backed the Kickstarter backed it because I was on the project as the editor. Because they know that I will make sure that it's a quality book at the end.
Why people are coming to you at the end of the campaigns. Where's the book?
Yeah. I did a live stream last night to wrap up, the Kickstarter just kind of for fun. And I had somebody come in who went, "Well, I was going to back it, but I didn't get a copy of something from like 4 Kickstarters ago." And I went, I don't know why you're asking me about this. I said, I'll pass the information on to the creator who can actually see who pledged.
Mike Watson came in to set the record straight about the next year. Right. It's not going to be short fuse comics anymore. It's going to be Mike Watson presents. He's already branded, ready to go. Go ahead, Mike.
I'm on Photoshop right now making my name.
He's redoing all the covers.
No, I just I hear your perspective and I respect it. I just wanted to add a different one. I don't think it's always about narcissism. I know there are people who have been very good at branding. Even if their name's not on the cover, people buy the book because that person is writing or created or is the artist on that book. There have been books I could give to. Is profanity fine?
Yes, we're good. The Devil's Advocate, we're not for kids.
I got my headphones on. I can't hear anything.
There have been books I buy and I can give 2 shits about them. Walking Dead, I love Robert Kirkman's writing. I'm not even a fan of the artist that draws the book. The person can draw. I give them that. They can draw. But I'm not a fan of it. I get it because I want to see Robert Kirkman's story where he's going to take these characters. Invincible, Now that's a different story. I do love that book all over. But Kirkman wrote it, and I'm a fan of his writing. Mark Miller, he sold his whole Millerverse. It's Miller. He made all that. He sold all that to Netflix. So that is, that's part of the branding. And some people just might have it in their head. Now, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, there could be some people out there that are pure narcissists that just want to see their name on the cover of the book. But I think other people may not. I just don't think everyone's in the same boat. I think some people may be doing it as a calculated thing to begin the branding of them as a creator, especially if they are working on more than one title. LaShawn Colvin, who is out here freaking killing it right now with her book Beautiful Soldiers that she's been promoting and stuff like that. She's an editor over on my book and Emerald Quest. She's editing American Dreams, another book for Short Fuse Media Group. She edited Chris Thomas's book. So she's got her hands in a lot of different things, and she's receiving credit for those editorials. And people listen. She has a small following that she's been building up over the last 2 years, and I've been watching her. And like her name has weight. Like when I saw all the things that she was in, and I read the books that she's been editor over, I was like, man, I need to get this girl over here editing my book to help me out, to bring some of that over here. So I don't think everybody is doing it for the narcissist reason. I think some people are being calculated and trying to brand themselves to get them out here into the market.
But you do run into that wall where, especially when it's your first comic and you put it on top, people are going to be like, well, what'd you do to get, because it's the marquee rule, right? Why is your name being displayed as the marquee character?
I'll tell you why. Because it took me 2 years to make the damn book. Paid for it, bought, sealed, and delivered, worked with the team. It's been 2 years, and I got my first comic book, and I want to see my name on it.
That's why we signed the books, right?
That's why we signed them. Again, I respect the opinion, just giving a different viewpoint.
Oh, it's always welcome here. That's the whole point of this show. We want to hear everyone's opinion. This show's boring if we all agree. It really is, because it's an echo chamber. So thank you for coming on. You didn't introduce yourself, though. Tell the audience. Remember, we're on the radio, so tell them, describe too who you are so they can hear you on the radio as well.
Awesome. My name is Mike Watson. I am the publisher of Short Fuse Media Group and founder of Freestyle COMiX, comic book creator, writer. It's just starting as a writer, but artist, long time, whatnot. Been making comic books well over 15 years now, and I'm finally getting somewhere in there. My name's on the cover. It's at the bottom, though, with the credits with everybody else.
Yeah, I think that's common. All right, Mike, you're more than welcome to stay. We're going to talk about, I don't know if you want to for this one. This is the most controversial topic this week. And it's not that San Diego Comic-Con is pre-taping their videos. That was heartbreaking. Their panels are pre-taped. I was heartbroken when I figured that out today. I was like, no, it's like finding out Santa's not real. Oh, no. But no, the big topic was what happened at Dynamite.
It happened at what?
Dynamite. You didn't hear about this?
No, what happened at Dynamite?
So Dynamite Comics is there was the guy that they hired to do a cover. His name is Cecil. He is very much into Comicsgate. Mm-hmm. Other creators did not want to work with someone who, now mind you, they weren't working directly with him at all. They didn't want to be in a company that worked with him. So several creators banded together to basically say that they would leave Dynamite if the continued work with Cecil would happen. They were going to parachute out, and Dynamite had to make a decision. Do we want to lose potentially working with several, if not dozens of creators to have one cover with one person? They decided the one cover wasn't worth it. And there was supposedly a project also they were going to do with him that has now been not done to keep more projects. The problem I have with this is, when does the creators become more important than the publisher and the comics that are being created? I firmly believe everyone should have the space to create their own comics. Whether I like you or not, you should have that lane to create your comics your way. And you shouldn't get in the way of other creators. I think kneecapping other creators, there's a difference between someone doing something wrong and someone just not doing something you like. You know what I mean? And I know Comicsgate has got a lot of bad blood with people, but I want to open that up to everyone. Do you think it's okay for creators to tell publishers and bully them into literally gatekeeping? I mean, this is a huge gatekeeping moment. And I believe in the freedom of comics. I believe, everyone who knows this sounds like a comics code. This now sounds like you have to have these politics to literally work in comics. And I don't agree with that. And I don't agree with everything what COMIXgate says either. So it's not that I'm just taking their side. I'm not COMIXgate. I'm a moderate. I will always be a moderate because I look at every situation individually. But I believe in the freedom of expression. Obviously, that's why we have this show tonight where we can all express ourselves. So we'll go around the room in order. We'll start with Katrina, and then we'll go around. Do you think it's okay to have creators making decisions for publishers?
I think in this case, my answer is this very specific case. My answer is no. You know, I think I think like you said, there needs to be that freedom to create, to let people create. You know, I guess part of my brain is going back to the Eric Esquivel thing, though. You know, in which case his creative team said we're not working with him. Granted, very different situation, but that's where my brain is kicking in.
You just want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. For those who don't know, Eric Esquivel was a comics writer. I guess still is. He's trying to be still. Who got in trouble for basically, you know, sexually harassing women and luring them into his hotel rooms and various things along that line. And when it all started to come out, his creative team, and he was writing a book for, I believe, Vertigo at the time. When his creative team, you know, kind of started hearing about all this, they stood up and said, we won't work with him. And his book ended up being canceled, even though it was a huge seller at the time, you know. And so in that case, I'm kind of all for that, especially since I've recently kind of gone through that with a creator. You know, I think there needs to also be a safety in comics, you know, where you do feel, again, have the freedom to create, you know, in what you feel is a safe environment.
And for the record, for those listening here, Cecil has never done anything like that as far as we're aware of as of recording this. They are taking it out on him because of purely comments he's made some people find controversial, and just his association with COMIXgate. I do believe, and like everyone, I agree with you, Katrina, everyone has the right to choose who they work with. No one should be forced to work in an environment they feel uncomfortable with. I absolutely agree with you on that. But I do want to stress, these are two big differences.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, no, please.
It's actually illegal. And I believe they're still to this date trying to see if legal action can be taken against him, because he did cross some lines. But I don't want to get into the legality of it because none of us are lawyers or judges. Right. But yeah, that's a good point. JD?
Well, I mean, the way I look at it is like this. I mean, the guy is doing business. You know, he didn't hurt anybody. There's no blood on the floor. The guy's just making a comic book. It's just a cover. It's a silly cover on a silly comic. Let him sell his comic. Let him have his fun. Let him make his money. If the shoe was on the other foot, I guarantee you, whoever started this mess, they would want to be allowed to make their money. You understand? I mean, you know, it goes back to what we all know. You know, treat people the way you want to be treated. You understand? You don't want people messing with your money. You shouldn't go around messing with other people's money. You understand? That's really all it is. And, you know, the CG community, my understanding is that they've backed him up and they've shot up his campaign another 40 G's. So he didn't really lose anything. You understand? Who lost? Dynamite lost, because now they have maybe less funds to finance some other books. You understand? So maybe those same creators won't be getting some work because of this didn't go through. You understand? And also, those creators did themselves a huge disservice. Do you know? I mean, I know myself. I mean, I like to not think of myself as a vindictive person, but do you think 2, 3, 4 years down the line, when things have maybe changed a little bit, and, you know, the guy who runs Dynamite says, oh, yeah, remember that? Yeah, you don't have any work here anymore, buddy. Hit the bricks. And then, if you think Mike Richardson and the other guys who run these other companies like Boom and IDW aren't also paying attention to this particular group and aren't just going to like start saying, yeah, we're not going to give you work, or we're not going to give you work, and they're going to start shunting these people off, and they've done it to themselves, you know.
That is an interesting point. And again, in comics, we all go up, we all come down. And these people are in a position right now where they're in a position to say, well, I don't want to do that. They're going to be on the other side of that downswing, and a lot of companies are going to remember their names and remember that they were difficult to work with. But like Mike Watson had pointed out, right now they're names that are selling. So it sucks to be Dynamite, because you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And they really got to do a cost analysis. How much money will this one cover really bring in for us? You know, and I understand from a business point of view, but as a creator, I cringe. I cringe at the idea that people not even on the book and not even having a discussion, like Dynamite probably should have put him in a room like we're in right now and be like, tell Cecil what you all think of him and let him have a conversation. That could have been something that happened. Luke, what do you think? Luke?
Yeah, I agree that people should have a conversation about these kind of things. I work with people I disagree with all the time. I mean, case in point, I'm working with Rob. So, it's just one of those things where I think just do your thing. You know, I don't have any allegiance to COMiXgate by any means, but I think there's some people over there doing they're doing their thing, and then I'm doing my thing, and we're all trying to pay our bills at the end of the day. So I think that's the case. But Cecil did, like someone said earlier, Cecil didn't lose any money in this. So I think he's doing just fine.
He did lose money. Let's not forget, he's not going to get revenue from that cover now. He did. And I don't like to be the person who starts going, well, he made $40K over here, but he still lost money. You're still taking money out of my kid's mouth if I'm Cecil. And I'm going to be pissed about that, because I do everything I do for my son, Jax. And if you're affecting my sales and stopping my son from eating potentially, I am never going to forget you. That is just plain and simple. And the day that I can do something to hurt your career, being honest here, I will do it, just because you did that to me. I would like to think that we could get to a point like, unlike what happened here, where I could have a conversation with them first and be like, dude, what, or madam, what is your fucking problem? Like, tell me what your problem is right now. Let's take care of this behind the scenes, because we look like giant fucking children publicly who can't play well in the sandbox. Mike Watson, am I wrong? Oh, sorry, Luke. Go ahead. Finish up. I was
just gonna say, I think he knows what their problem is with him. I think that most people, they're pretty clear. Like, their problem is his association with COMiXgate and people's perceived notion of what COMiXgate is. So,
Mike, what do you got for me?
All right, so this cover artist is associated with COMiXgate. The comic creatives that work for Dynamite found out about that and said, we're not going to work here if you guys publish this guy's cover.
Or won't re-up their contracts. A few of them had contracts ending, so they'd finish up their contracted work and then leave. But they also went to social media and made a big stink about it. How these companies don't have better social media clauses is beyond me. I would be calling them into the office and being like, come here, you. Let's talk about social media.
Well, yeah, social media has just become a big thing where jobs and companies have to consider it within the last couple of years. So I'm sure some of those people that got their contracts slid under the radar before they had to say anything about social media. I'm pretty sure everybody knew coming in has Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and TikTok and all that in their contracts now. You know what I'm saying? But to put it on both sides of the book, they have every right to complain, bitch, moan, do whatever they want to do about it. I do think maybe a conversation should have happened where they all got together and talked to him and talked with the upper management at Dynamite all in one room to try to figure things out. Should you stop and limit somebody else's way of making money? That really shouldn't be your concern. But you can voice your opinion all you want on the Facebook and the Twitter feeds, because that's what it's made for. And if you're not going to re-up your contract, all right, bye. Yeah. Don't re-up your contract. You are more entitled than that, but at the same time, Dynamite has to look at what's best for them down the line. And Rob, as you just said, if they're not looking at having the proper rules or clause in their contracts to cover these things, they got to think about reprimand the layout of the battlefield moving forward. So those things do have to be considered. Do I think it's right that the mob gets to control everything, whether it's a positive or negative thing? I don't know. It's pretty messed up. but they get the right to do that as well. It's just up to and dependent upon the company to determine if their walls are as strong as Helm's Deep and can weather the storm.
Well, that's an interesting question. I believe JD talked about the pendulum swing. We see this in life. We are so democratic right now. We're liberal. We're a lot of social justice warrior movements out there trying to cancel people over nothing. When real social issues are at risk right now, I think people are almost uncomfortable to fight back against it because there's a lot at stake that's really good. But eventually, the really good, hopefully, God willing, we finally solve, and we get to a better standard of living in America. The other side's going to come swinging back. And now all these rules that have been made by one side affect the other side. So are we going to get another COMiXgate? Are there going to be rules about politics? Are people going to now require to be disclosing their political, like how many of you have publicly said who you are? I had to be forced out to admit I was a moderate. And when I said I was a moderate, people weren't happy because it didn't fit a narrative. And the reason I had to admit it was because I was being accused from both sides of being the other side. And I just got sick of it. How many in this room have had to disclose what they are publicly? Because I hated it. I didn't like having to explain myself. Has anyone else like said that they're Republican or Democrat, JD?
Well, it had nothing to do with political parties. It just had the whole thing to do with, I was accused of being a COMiXgate. You understand? I'm like, look, I'm not affiliated with them. I know some of them. I've spoken to some of them. I've been on some of their shows. But listen, I'll talk to anybody. You understand? I'll talk to anybody, and it's nobody's right to tell me who I can and can't speak to. You understand? Because my understanding is that's a form of fascism, and I'm just not for it. Like I said, I'm into indie comics. I want to talk to all indie creators. I don't care if you're a COMiXgate, not COMiXgate, or whatever you're doing. As long as you're creating books, I want to talk to you. And that's my view on it. But I had to come out and say, I'm not this. You understand?
And it almost feels like you're insulting someone when you have to say, I'm not this. Like, I have to now distance myself. And it feels weird, right? When you have to say, I'm not something. And it's jarring. Like, I feel it's almost a personal invasion because as a creator, I don't want anyone feeling like I'm now this. Like if you even know my religious standpoint, are you going to now judge me by that? I'd rather you judge the work, I don't know. It feels weird to me.
Trust me, I know I get judged by my faith affiliation and kind of that all the time. In fact, because I'm a pastor in North Florida, I'm oftentimes labeled a Republican when I am a very, very strict libertarian. I think sides. I'm the guy that runs down the middle of the aisle, yelling at both sides, telling them how stupid they are. And I've had conversations even this week with other pastors, and it's so funny because I've got two men of God that I really respect and I look up to, and one of them is like, Trump's the man for the White House, God's man for the White House, and the other guy's like, God's wanting Trump to get out of the White House or the White. And I'm like, and here's what I've learned, and I think this kind of goes to everything with comics and life and politics and all that kind of stuff. We can't all be right, but we sure as the heck can all be wrong. And I think most people are just so concerned with thinking that they're right all the time without even 1 second. I might be wrong on this. And so we need to have conversations with each other. I think, the thing with Dynamite wouldn't have happened if you had those people get in a room and talk to each other. If those people get to know Cecil, they might like the guy. They might not see eye to eye on politics or some certain things like that, but they might get along with each other. Just get to know each other. Don't always listen to what someone says about a person. Make your assessment yourself. Talk to them, have a conversation.
I definitely agree that you should always be having conversations with people. That is the only way that people are going to even be able to, you may not be able to get everybody to agree with you or see your perspective or to be like, oh my God, you've changed my mind. But you may be able to get somebody to say, I see where you're coming. I disagree with you and I still have my beliefs, but I see where you're coming and I can respect what you're saying. And that may get that person to move in a different direction just by acknowledging I see your side of it. And there's a lot of I don't see your side because people won't talk. So I definitely agree people need to have conversations because things may not be as bad as people think they are. Based off of outside influences or whatnot. You never know till you sit down and talk, and things might have been able to be straightened out if a conversation was had with Dynamite upper management and all those creatives in one room to sit down and just say, let's clear the air. What's the problem? What's your beef with this? What's your beef with that?
Yep, I
I was just
agree.
Yeah, I was just trying to think if I've ever had to kind of like out myself or been outed for my beliefs or my thoughts. And I think I do well flying under the radar with most people on most things. I have been accused of not taking a stand or having an opinion on a lot of things. A lot of that is just me trying to avoid drama. But some of you guys are aware of a recent situation I had with a creator, sexually harassing me and abusing me. Not physically. Thank God we live far enough apart that didn't happen. But I did. That was the one time recently where I've had to kind of step up and say, look. If you have questions, ask me, talk to me. Because I had people assuming that I wrote a blog post about it to kind of clear my own head and get, and all that. And it was something that a couple of friends of mine saw and shared out. I didn't personally share it out immediately. But I had people saying that it was a revenge post, that I just wanted to cancel this guy, that it was all because I got a crumpled comic in the mail, and I said, why don't you try to talk to me about it? Talk to me. I'll tell you exactly what happened. If and don't just assume who I am when you've never even spoken to me.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that you went through that. And obviously, we don't want someone around in this industry who doesn't understand that and isn't willing to be educated on what they did wrong. So I do apologize that you went through there, and I'm making sure that everyone knows not to trust that creator. And sometimes we do have to out people. Now, I give Mike Watson a lot of credit. Mike, this has been a difficult year, and the past couple of years have actually been very difficult. And he's not afraid to take topics on, and he doesn't try to be controversial, but he leaves the room. But he really steps in it sometimes. He goes out and he really offends some people with some of the topics he puts up. And I agree with him on this, but when he talks about DC movies being good, there's nothing but heat that comes in. Right away, people are mad at him. They're like, what are you watching, Mike Watson? What are you drinking? What are you smoking? But he's still out there talking about the Snyder Cut and how great it'll be. So I appreciate it for championing that.
I'm here for all comic movies, damn it.
Yes.
Stand strong, Mike. Stand strong.
But it's so important that we talk to each other. And that's been the point of the debates when I started it. Everyone asked why I started doing debates. Because no one knew how to talk to each other anymore. My friends would get onto a post, and no matter what it was, I could be like, Dave Chappelle was funny as hell. Did you see the thing he said about how guys should be able to get a financial abortion? I thought that was funny. And it was like a 2-page summary of people saying, no, fuck you, no, fuck you. And I'm like, what just happened? It was a joke. He's a comedian. You're not supposed to take it so seriously. He did rewrite the Bible. But I had that. I had friends attacking themselves. And I learned that if I did debates, not only do you get rid of the bad people, and you do, we all have followers that are bad. And we don't realize it until we see them attacking our friends. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't like my friends fighting. I don't, because I know them. And so often we see one paragraph and, oh, this person's evil. And you don't have that context. And we become that culture without context. And speaking of without context, JD wanted to bring up a topic.
Well, just within the last couple of days, this thing happened between Tom King and Jay Lee, where Tom King, I think I can read the tweet here off of this garbage website. Today, DC put out an alternate cover to Rorschach by Jay Lee, who has done covers for COMiX. I hate DC does not consult creators on alternate covers. I reached out to them to express my deep disappointment. Far as I'm concerned, this is the cover to Rorschach #1, and he shows another cover. Now, the thing is that, here's this gentleman in Tom King who is supposed to be a progressive, but yet he's trying to take food off the plate of a marginalized creator, in Jay Lee. So, I mean, it's just one of these things where it's like, why didn't you contact Jay Lee before any of this happened? Supposedly, he did contact Jay Lee afterwards, and they straightened everything out. But the thing is that what business is it of yours who he's taking work from or who he isn't taking work from? you know. And I mean, and that's an issue that I have. It's just like, you know, how did we get to a point where, you know, you're just upset that all right, you have a problem. Tom King probably has a problem with EVS. That's who he has a problem with, right? So instead of attacking EVS, he says, no, I'm going to attack his friends. I'm going to attack the people that support him. So here he comes after poor Jay Lee, who's been an artist for 30 years. And it was pointed out that Jay Lee did a cover for EVS's original run on Cyberfraud, which was like in the sometime in the 90s. Yeah. So they've known each other forever. You understand? He's just doing another cover for, you know, the same guy. And according to EVS, he paid him a lot of money for it. So it's not like he came cheap. It's not like he did him a favor. You know, this was a paying gig. So who's Tom King? I'd have been like, look, Tom, you want me to not work for this guy? You just pay me $5,000 a month. I'll never go near him. You know?
Right. So I do want to read some comments. I agree with that. But before we get to the comments, one last go around in the room. Do you think creators' egos are getting too much? I never heard of Stan Lee pulling any of this. And we know there was drama with Stan Lee, Jack Kirby. We heard about it spilling over. There was gossip and there was rumors. But it was never like this. It never came out where they were attacking each other publicly. They weren't doing this. And this makes us look small as an industry. When we are literally pointing at it, let the fans vote with their money. That's what I always say. There are so many fans who don't want to know any of this. They don't care. They don't want to know. Their comics are an escape, and you're making it so now they don't want to touch any comic because now they feel like they're dirtied by you making real-world stuff. That's my take on it. The comics have to come first. You want to put your politics into comics, you're more than welcome, and it's up to the fans if they keep reading your issues, if they like or dislike how you're creating it. It's that simple, and I think a lot of creators have been pissed off the last couple of years because the fans aren't showing up to buy their shit. Because it's not good enough, or it's just not what they want. You're not marketing it right. Either way, it's not selling like it once did. And you got to give credit to EVS. He knows how to sell a comic. He made $1 million on a comic book. I want to make $1 million. I won't say half the things I'll say publicly, but he's also got a bigger name than me. Who knows how? I mean, like, I'm a prick right now. Imagine if I get popular and get a couple movies made. And I have enough money to not care as much. Imagine the shit that'll be coming out of my mouth.
You'll be incorrigible.
They can't cancel me. I'm uncanny now, but one day I'll be the uncancelable indie devil, and I'll just be like, fuck him. That's it. That's my answer. Fuck him. But actually, I say that now. I guess I'm already too late. Katrina, what do you think?
You know, I think I see both sides of it. I see, you know, the creators who are still incredibly humble and invested in what they're doing, and it's all about the quality. But then I see some of this other stuff, and it's just drama, you know. And it's hard to be somebody who's in the industry who's not necessarily connected to the drama, because you still get the questions about it. You know, well, did you hear about what happened with this? And you know, do you think this is the end of comics? And do you, you know? And I'm just like, guys, you know, I think you're right when you said the word dirty. You know, when I pick up a comic, you know, no matter who it's by, I don't care about the politics of the creator or the artist or anybody involved with it. In fact, I don't want to know any of that. I want to be able to pick up a comic and read it for what it is and enjoy it. Comics are escapism. You know, they're let's get away from all the horrible stuff that's going on. And now you guys are piling horrible stuff on top of them. You know, and you're burying what they should be.
JD?
Yeah, like I said, the whole thing with you know, Tom King and Jay Lee is just one of these things where it's like this guy has gotten to a certain point in the industry, he feels like I can dictate whatever I want to dictate. And it's just like, who are you? Nobody heard it. You've been around, what, 4 or 5 years? You understand? I mean, you've written, what, a handful of series, a handful of books. You did 100 issue run or a alleged run on Batman that was good in the beginning and not so good at the end. And his last couple of things weren't so good. I mean, I don't know. I read a couple of things from the guy. They're good. But, you know, he's no Frank Miller. He's no Alan Moore. He's no Grant Morrison.
Now, I know Michael Watson's got to run. He's a busy man. He's got to do it. Tell him where they can follow you.
Oh, also branding. You can follow me at Most Epic Art on TikTok, Instagram. What's the other thing? Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, yeah, Patreon. As soon as Facebook gives me permission to change my Facebook page, even though it's mine, I need their permission. It'll be Most Epic Art on there as well. But as far as everything else, Most Epic Art, and shortfusemediagroup.com for the website to go get my books, because I make them, and they're okay. I think they're good.
They're pretty darn good. They're pretty darn good stuff.
Thanks for letting me come
appreciate you hanging out. Thank you for being part of the difference of opinion that we love on this show and giving us a different side to the take. And I can't wait for the Snyder Cut to come out. I'll definitely come on the show to talk to you about that one.
Oh, I got your spot reserved for that one, because I know that will be, that's like, I just know that's going to be total, like, full blown conversation.
Oh man, I just realized that I'm supposed to be mad at Mike. I totally forgot. So that's, I'm not good at mad. Mike the other day, I do believe, had Veronica and Nick on his show. And didn't invite me as well.
Oh, I didn't know. I did not know.
I mean, we're a three-piece team. You left out like a whole third. But that's okay. I hung out and kept dropping the link in chat.
Oh, that was you. Hey, you were on it. Because yeah, Nick and Veronica were not putting the link in there at all.
They're not podcast pros.
Yeah, I told them the damn Facebook algorithm. I didn't even know they had a Kickstarter going till last week.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I would have been got y'all on the show promoting that book or not. Veronica is my girl. I absolutely love her. Yeah, but we were able to squeeze it in a day before the end or whatnot. But yes, I remember that next time.
If they want another one before a year is up, I'm out. We just finished yesterday, so I'm like,
All right, Watson, thank you for being on.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, man.
All right, so Luke, am I right? Are creators out of control, or am I wrong? Creators.
Well, you've got a point. There was a lot of infighting in Marvel and DC with Stan and Kirby and all those guys back in the day. But I'll be honest with you. So we really don't even know what it would have been like if they had social media. Who knows? They might have gone to social media with all that stuff, So it's just a different time. So we have no idea how to tell. But here's one thing I know about artists and creators. They've got egos. Even the ones that are relatively humble have some kind of an ego about them. And when you get that many egos into the room together, two things are going to happen. You're going to get some amazing art and creations, and you're also going to get some amazing blowout fights. That's just the nature of it, And so I do think they're a bit out of control. Stop trying to control things. You can't determine how everyone is going to respond, but you can determine how you're going to respond. And so I think people need to start worrying about themselves more and about other people less.
All right, guys, let's do these comments in a lightning round fashion and make sure we get everyone's voice heard. And we appreciate you all of you on the radio, all of you who have been writing in. Make sure to subscribe to DEViL's on YouTube today and recharge your fandom. All right, I came up with a pen name after my sister's cat. Thank God the cat was not named something horrible.
I think that's awesome.
I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. The more I analyze it, the more confusing it gets. I mean, it's a name, so naming it after a cat, I'm sure, is confusing. Oh, wait, you meant something else. Sorry. I totally misread that one. That's one of the reasons I've been trying to finish this before I consider about any crowdfunding. Thank you. Yes, please listen to that advice. Have your book fundamentally done. Have an editor attached. Lettering can happen during a campaign, but everything else has to be done. And have your editor brought on. Please, people, do not bring your editor on after you've lettered, especially if you're a newer creator. You're a newer creator who doesn't understand story pacing, and Luke has seen this when we get submissions. One of the things I hate the most is when someone has a good story, but they haven't paced it right, but the art is done, because there's not a lot you can do at that point.
No, there's nothing you can do there.
You can put up some little boxes like 5 minutes later or after the action is done, but it comes off as it is a mistake. Please involve your editors earlier on. Please don't ruin what could be an awesome book by thinking you got it. I ask everyone for opinions on my work, and I consider myself a story editor, and I have been brought on to be a story editor because you don't see your own mistakes. And it's that simple, guys. Never get mad at someone for pointing out a mistake. Thank them. Thank them with all your heart because they just stopped you from publicly making a mistake. Other than the credit line, your name on the cover seems a little goofy and unnecessary. That's what I'm saying. The editor makes things awesome. Could not agree. I have always talked about it.
Best comment of the night right there.
Yep.
Best comment.
I have gotten into fights and lost friendships over the fact that I've told people they need an editor for their book. And they've gotten mad at me. And I've called out publishers, like heads of publishers who were like, I didn't have a publisher for my book. And I was like, oh, man, I wouldn't say that out loud, buddy. You just lost a bunch of fans. I was like, I guess tits and hats don't need editing. I guess not.
I've had people, say the only reason I've said it is because I want the job. Trust me, I don't always want the job. So
Yeah, you get hired
a lot of times I'm just trying to help you see what you need to see.
Yeah, and the more I analyze the comics industry situation, I mean, yeah, the situation in comics, it's weird right now because I think we're seeing it. You have people acting like giant babies in this Dynamite thing, and even the Tom King thing. It's like people are like, wait, this is too much now. We're talking about this shit too often. Why don't we talk about creating comics? Why don't we talk about the good stuff? I mean, I put out that Ethan Van Sciver made $1 million on Indiegogo, and like people are like, well, this one did this, and this one did that, and wait, he does this, and he sacrifices babies in the middle of the night. I'm like, are they his babies? I mean, who am I to get in the way of what he does with his own kids? I'm all for discipline. Maybe he's teaching one that this is what happens. This is how I'll never have you be a bad kid. See what I did to the other one?
That wasn't funny, Rob. See, no one laughed. That's what happens when you go off on a joke and it's not funny.
No, Katrina laughed. Katrina's a parent. She knows what I'm talking about. She's like, if I had another kid, I might have sacrificed them.
Look, maybe I originally had 3. I only talk about 2. Just think about it, guys. That's all I'm saying.
You never had that joke, Luke, growing up where your parents were like, we had another one. We didn't keep him because he didn't behave. You want to be the next one we don't keep?
That wasn't a joke in my family.
Oh, that's why I feel funny to Luke. Okay, I'm sorry, Luke. I'm sorry to bring up bad memories. Damn, I didn't know. We're going to move on. Ralph Griffin. Our target is entertainment. Our aim is quality. Old Arrow's moniker, but a good one. Definitely a good one. Entertainment should come first, and quality should come close second. That's why you get an editor. Okay, here we go. I'm going over all the links they sent. Sorry to use. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed something when I went there. It was about the brand for us back in the day, and it should always be about branding after the comic and quality. Like you have to put the quality of the comic first. It has to be entertaining, or no one will want it. Our individual issue has nothing. Our trade started putting creators' names at the bottom on the spine. That makes sense, though. I could see that. I've always said a trade is different. A trade is literally a celebration of a completion of a story arc. So I can see that being different. LW Flooza. I assume name in the author name sense. A name is draft comic in the manga world. I don't know much about it. Is anyone here a manga fan?
Not really.
Yeah. Sorry. We don't do that in American comics. I don't know what they do. I know in novels it's big to have a creator's name on top, but that is because for them they are the brand. An author is the brand, and I think Katrina's going to show us her book. Right
now. No, I just happened to pick up one of them and realized that the spine print is wrong. It rolled too far over for some reason.
Oh no!
Yeah.
I
so
will
pay no
admit
attention
this,
to me
though.
making weird faces at my own book.
Yeah, I will admit this though. Creators do have to kind of promote themselves, and if you don't put your name on the book, no one else will. They're not going to do that just because they want to, right, Katrina?
Sorry, I'm laughing at the thing that just came up on the screen. I'm easily amused tonight. I'm sorry, I totally missed what you were saying, Luke.
No, but I mean, as an editor, no one's going to put your name on the book without you asking. We've got to advocate for ourselves. You know, that's one of the things that I hear
it's
from.
definitely been a soapbox issue for me for well over a year now.
Yeah.
And I'm thrilled that I'm starting to see, you know, in the indie comics, you know, that's, you know, I've had new customers come to me or new clients come to me and say, oh yeah, that's a given. And like, but it wasn't always a given.
Yep.
You know, I think about Todd McFarlane, you know, and he's, you know, he says, you know, I'm not any more talented than any other person or any more special. I just advocate for myself every day. And so I think there are times when you do have to advocate for yourself and you do have to put that out there. You have to work hard for it. But
yep, I totally agree. Rebel Gaming says, I got a message from Karen Gibson wondering where his book is. Haha, poor Karen, yours is the last one to get mailed. This is the way Cecil got boned. It's plain and simple. Sorry, I'm just trying to read these all together.
Yeah.
I don't agree. If I apply for a job, they don't give me a list to see who I do or do not want to work with, and that's absolutely true. And I have said that in other places, and I think we said that tonight. You shouldn't be able to pick who you work with if you're not the publisher. The publisher gets to pick who you work with. I mean, you could quit your job, just like in a regular job. You don't want to work with someone, you can get a different job. That's fine. And I do think that, like Watson said, I mean, not for nothing in Terraform, we pretty much have a social media clause that would prevent that from happening without the creator getting in trouble. I don't understand why the bigger companies don't have such a clause, right? Right, Luke?
yeah, I don't understand. I mean, they need to. And maybe it's just the trouble because, I mean, you know, it's what we're going through now, the trouble of trying to write those contracts. They're so difficult to do that and to put those things in there and to be able to, you know, it's a mess. You want to be about creating, and I'm in that spot now too. It's like, can we just get this done? Let's just plow through it so we can just make comic books. And maybe that's where they're at. They don't want to go back and revisit those things, so they just don't.
You have to, unfortunately. Rebel Gaming continues to say, you agree to the job and get paid. That's all that matters. The political views of my coworkers are not my issue or problem. And you shouldn't even look. There's rules in retail, literally in other sectors of the industries that create our economy that say you're not allowed to talk about your political views at work. There are literal rules about that. Do not talk about politics or religion for this very reason. Maybe comics needs to adapt that. You talk about it at work, you get sanctioned, you get suspended, you get your title pulled, you get fired. Stop letting them take this over. And I do not believe in morality police. I don't even know. Canada's so different. I don't know how it is in Canada, so I can't talk about that. But in America, all we have are people who make loud noise. But you see that we also have COMiX. So I love America for that, because there was still a way to get around the groups of hate that do form, unfortunately. You know, and I hate groups that try to fight a person, because there's this idea, well, 5 people agree with me, so I'm right. No, it just means that I told all my friends not to bother with you peons, because I don't want to bother my friends trying to defend me. And Luke will tell you, I tell my friends to back off. Let it go. Let them hit me. I can take the hits.
All the time.
Yeah, I get the impression there is more to it with the dynamite thing. In a lot of these, I keep having the feeling I'm missing part of the story. You're missing the part where this has been long coming, and it's egos, like Luke had said. It's just egos in comics. Sometimes it's just taking out someone because you can. And it's sad. I don't like this person. Like I forgot who had mentioned it, but I think it was you, JD. He had done a cover for Ethan Van Sciver earlier in his career, so now I hate him. What the hell? What the hell? Get over yourself.
I'll be honest. I saw that cover, and that thing is tight, man. I love that cover.
See, I hate the cover, but it wasn't never about the cover. It never got to be about the cover. It was simply about who he knew, and that was the problem. I would have never bought that cover, not because I don't like Cecil. I just don't like the cover. But you could have let it come out and just do what it was going to do. You literally, if you watch that, if one of you people who talked up and got Cecil fired watch this video, understand you hurt comics because you took away something that could have sold and made money for comic book creators.
I'm not talking about Cecil's cover. That was okay. I'm talking about Rorschach, the Rorschach cover.
Oh,
that was nice. The Jay Lee one. That is a great cover.
Yeah, no, I will do that. I will bring on anyone for Nairobi if I feel they have talent, and in my price range, they do not need to fill out a questionnaire, nor do I need to go through or crawl their social media. I disagree. I do check through social media for Terraform Comics. And I'm not looking for people who have different opinions. I'm looking at people who are shitty about having opinions. The people who attack other people. It's one thing to say, I'm going to vote for X candidate, we'll just put. I don't mind that. It's when you're like, if you're not for X candidate, unfriend me right now. You're gone. I will stop Terraform. That is my job, because you could be costing us a fan base. When you're a creator, you don't have that luxury to get rid of a part of your fan base if you want to be taken serious. Keep your mouth shut. You make great comics. Because if you want to go to be a politician, go fucking put your name in a campaign somewhere. Otherwise, shut up and get out of the way. That's just my opinion on it. I do think that what you say on social media should be held against you to a certain degree. It's how you handle it. Look, we had a whole conversation tonight, right? We had different opinions. Mike Watson came up and said Rob was wrong. Did Rob lose his collective shit? Did he curse out Michael Watson? No, he said, come on in. Tell me why I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. That's what we need. We need to be able to hear each other. I have friends who voted for Hillary Clinton. I never got mad at them for voting for Hillary Clinton, even though at the time she ran, I didn't like Hillary Clinton. I voted for Hillary Clinton when she ran for Senate in New York. The reason I don't like Hillary Clinton was because of what she did with the funding for New York City and terrorism. If you have that conversation, that's like, okay, I could see Rob might have a point. He's a native New Yorker. There's a good reason not to like her. But if I just say I didn't vote, I don't like Hillary. Oh my God, you're a Nazi. You're a Nazi. Jesus, oh my, you hate everybody. You hate women. If you don't get to that bigger conversation, you'll never hear people. So shut up and ask questions. Don't tell them what they are. You know, I hate that about people. I'm sorry. That's a rant.
I'm sorry. I'm only chuckling because more than once I've been told that Rob doesn't like me because I'm trying to be a woman in comics. So, yeah. And yet,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh shit! I'm in trouble.
Now you've been outed.
No. I done
no.
wrong. The boss is here.
Oh no.
Yeah, I just popped into I heard there was a meeting and I just popped my head in to see what was going on.
You missed Mike Watson.
What?
You missed Mike Watson. He was in here telling us how DC movies are great.
Well, the problem is this. I'm gonna let you guys on a little secret. JD Calderon knows about this. Okay, so you have me, you have Mike Watson, you have Victor Dandridge. There's a quota. Okay, there's a quota. There's a token black guy quota on the stream, and you can't go over that. So, you know, Mike called dibs, so I knew I couldn't come in until after he was gone. So now that Mike is gone, I could pop in and just. You know.
Yeah, I've heard of this. You know, Varian told me about this quota before, but it was the number of women that could be on the show at one time.
Exactly. Women and blacks.
Let me tell you, my room can be full of women any day of the week. Any day of the week, we can fill this room full of women for any color. The only thing we can't fill this room in, and I know it's controversial, and people aren't going to like this, but it's such a small little group. It's a minority out there. I don't care. Flat earthers are not allowed in these chat rooms with me. I cannot do it. A flat earther gets kicked out right away. The world is circular. There are pictures. What's wrong with you? You
listen
every night. It's circular, the moon. How could you be questioning? Do you see when the moon's got that eclipse? That's the round Earth. Oh, I can't. I'm sorry.
Rob, I'm telling you though, if they show us the turtle, if they show me the turtle, I'm in. But I got to see the turtle first, though. You know,
the one that we're riding on. Yeah, that guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Show me the turtle, I believe.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to go with that too.
Dude, Space Turtle. Band name, called it.
There, are you near the computer or are you on your phone?
I'm on my computer. I'm leaning over into my computer. But yeah, I'm on the computer.
Did you happen to see the numbers by chance?
I can pull them up real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, and we're going to keep reading comments. Hopefully you can hang out for some comments we've had. It's a really good show, actually. I really like the Discord. I'm glad you're joining us.
Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's been a long day. Okay, your official numbers right now are 43,200.
Hey man, 43,200 people.
That's amazing.
Pretty good show. Pops, I think you have your YouTube playing or something. We're getting double.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me kill it.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
I was watching and then I.
no, it happens. I do it all the time. We're just wrapping up and taking some comments, and then we'll have a couple minutes to hang out. We already went over the 2-hour mark, but I get taken down from YouTube anyway every week, so I'm sure
I just figured you guys needed something to brighten things up. If Varian was going to be here, I had to tilt the scale with the old white guy, to even out.
Nobody can claim we're not diverse.
Yeah, I mean, I had to come out, because I drink and I know things.
Okay. I had been considering weaning off social media myself. I feel like I communicate more clearly in blogging. I could see that because sometimes
I 100% am there. I actually posted this whole thing the other night about how I was taking a break from Facebook. I'm failing miserably at taking a break from Facebook. I'm trying really hard. I'm failing. But I definitely communicate better in a blog format, in that longer format where I can just kind of write everything out.
I think the biggest problem with, honestly, social media is there's no sarcastic font. In life, I can be sarcastic as shit. Like Lucas called me up and be like, "Dude, you were really nasty, that guy." And I start talking to him. He's like, "It's just that you're New York. You're literally typing how you sound, but when it's typed out, it sounds angry. But when you say it like a New Yorker, you're being so sarcastic and an asshole that he's like, I get it now. He's like, I didn't see it that way. I'm like, yeah, this fucking guy comes over here. He's going to talk shit. I'm going to slap him around. And he's smiling. He knows.
Yeah, no, I think that would be something so helpful. I posted a picture of my breakfast this morning, and somebody commented something like, like, looks like you're trying to live a long life or something. Granted, it was not a healthy breakfast, but I actually messaged somebody else who knows this person better and was like, is this person just a dick? Or is he joking? Because I can't tell.
Yeah. I have to stay out of my newsfeed, man. I have to stay out of my newsfeed. It's hard, and I don't succeed all the time. But there's just too much. We all get caught up in it. There is just too many fish hooks. Too many baited hooks out there. And it's like, man, how do you do? You can't just quit Facebook if you're trying to build an exposure for your book or your brand or whatever you're trying to do. You have to be out here, but man, it's like I hide in my group because at least I know nothing's going to happen there that's going to make everybody go crazy.
Now, Luke.
Well, that's not always entirely true, is it?
Luke.
Yeah.
Luke, can you hear me? Sometimes when someone comes in, we can't hear each other. You remember when I started explaining what I meant behind my comments and people got more offended? Like, I was explaining the sarcasm. He said because the person is really stupid and can't understand simple things. So he said frustratedly. And they were like, "You're even meaner when you're explaining why you're saying the things you are."
I thought it was hilarious. I loved it.
I got a lot of complaints. I got a lot of Rob. You have to stop explaining why you're answering people. He said to the dumb idiots was not apparently appropriate. And I was trying to be nice, but I've learned to be more gentle with my words. I've used my writer's cap, and I now write the truth about people, and it offends them, but they can't say anything. So what can you do? Social media is one of those things we need right now. We just have to be on it, like Pop said. You can't run away from it. You got to find a way to survive on it. Rebels Gaming said people are scared to fight back as they do not want to be the next one canceled. People have tried. I'm still here. Is anyone afraid of being canceled? I'm really not.
I don't worry about being canceled. I back everybody's books. I don't care what they do, what they love. I love comics. I back everybody's books unless they personally give me a reason not to.
And I know Varian's making sure that I show this so everyone knows that what I say is not to be on his back.
I look at it like, at this point, I'm too small to be canceled.
Nick thought that too.
And when I get big enough that I'm going to be, I guess, able to be canceled, Oh well, I don't care. Good luck.
People
And
deserve
just go
to
COMiXgate.
cancel themselves.
Just go COMiXgate and start an Indiegogo. You'll make a ton of money. They cost me a cover, $40,000.
That's not entirely true.
But you gotta have a cover of Dynamite.
Yeah, not interested in being out about my politics. I tell you, man, that was the weirdest thing. Varian, we've talked about this. Isn't it weird when you actually have to get serious and talk about how you really feel? Doesn't it feel like you're almost naked in front of the audience?
Well, I mean, yeah, but the thing is, it happens so often on these
Used to.
on these, these streams that where we have to come in because I mean, I don't want anybody to think we're being disingenuous when we say a lot of this sometimes is, it's entertainment. I may say something that I don't necessarily, believe to be true.
To get a laugh.
Yeah, you're right, to get out to be entertaining.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but then somebody will come in and say, well, you said this and that. Like, I didn't
Like
mean
you
that.
were serious.
Said it.
And it's like, there's no context. There's no way in time to people to see your facial expression, to understand what you're saying. And even sometimes out here, they just don't get it.
It was a joke, man.
Yeah, then you got to come out and say, look, it was a joke. I don't believe this or I don't believe that. And then people, and like you said, Rob, it's scary. You're like, okay, I'm standing up here.
And you can't apologize. Don't apologize for saying it. Just say what you meant by it. You say sorry, and it's like a vampire with a vein on it. So on you. You get
and they're gonna keep sucking that blood, baby.
Well, look, I'll say it this way: I've seen somebody apologize, and then the apology wasn't good enough, and the young man took his own life, and that still wasn't good enough. They still didn't back off. He was still a creep. He was still this and that, and it wasn't anyone's fault that he took his own life. He was a coward. It was bad. I mean, so you can't apologize. You can't do anything. You just, if you mess up,
you messed up. But I mean, if you hurt somebody specifically, and you owe them an apology, Nick, then you do that.
Yeah, I mean, I was younger when I was very young when Bob Barker messed up. But as far as I understand it to be, Bob Barker came out and said, "Listen, my wife is either he was single or his wife had passed. The young lady that I had an affair with is of age. She was consenting. There's no scandal here," and it magically went away because there was no story there. So, I mean, sometimes there's no story in some of these things that we get wrapped up in. But other times there are. And, Rob, you've been held to the fire. I think everybody on here at some point has been in trouble for something they said. I just don't care.
I'll be in trouble again next week. Like there's going to be a meeting about. I just found out today that I'm trying to end Katrina's career. That's just something else on my plate. All because she's a woman. Do you know I have so much going on right now? I don't know if I have time to cancel her because she's a woman. I'll try to. I promise.
Yes, I've got another week to live.
I'll try to fit it in. I promise. I'll try to live up to the moniker. Okay. I'll try to cancel you because you have boobs. Like that's I'm against boobs. Yeah, okay. Thank you for
Oh man, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Nice set over there.
I'm a straight white male. I know people have already taken me to the coal for being straight white male. Why would I hate women? Why would I hate anyone? I don't understand.
Why do you hate women? You hate women who may be getting a little bit of power.
Fuck, they should have more power. Men have fucked everything up. Let's try something new. Let's give the dolphins power. Every time I see dolphin stories, they do a lot better than humans.
Hail Flipper.
Give the dolphins the power.
Hail Flipper.
That Flipper, I'm telling you, man, I am all down. And I saw, I sent it to Varian, this sexy Flipper human. Oh my God. I was like,
I'm torn between Flipper and Charlie the Tuna.
I don't know. I don't trust him, man. He sounds like he's from Chicago. Like he's got that politics down. Like he's real nice to you in front of you, but then behind your back, he's got cement shoes picked out for you. Oh, wait a minute. Rebel Gaming says, and so the mob knows they rules by fear and intimidation, thus suppressing free speech in a fear of cancellation so they can control the narrative. You just like the returns line at Target, just ask for the receipt. That's all you got to do. Just, okay, we'll prove it. You'd be amazed how quickly people have to shut the fuck up when people ask for you to prove
Or
something.
if you just act like you didn't even know it was happening, like what Mike Barron did when Reddit did that. I don't even know who Reddit was. Don't even acknowledge him, man. That's what I'm saying. If it's not a legit, if there's somebody's coming at you for no reason, no legitimate reason, come on, don't even acknowledge that, man.
I love what LW Fallujah says. My work first, who I am secondary. Exactly. This is a persona. For those who don't know, even talking about my mother being in the hospital, Varian and Luke knew when it started. I told them, because we're partners in Terraform COMiX, they needed to know right away. I struggled with it for a week until it got to the point where I thought that it was about to get really bad, and it would be weird to just drop that on the audience and suddenly not know what I was going to happen next. So I had to struggle with sharing part of my personal life, and I go live every night, and I have to decide what part of my personal life am I going to talk about. I have to worry about my son watching these videos when he grows up. What is he going to see his dad doing? And it's different when, like Varian said, if he sees me say something when I'm on DEViL's, boy, I was doing my job. This is Dad. He was clowning around a little bit. It's called a sense of humor. You have one. Stop your bitching. As opposed to another time when I get mad and talk about possibly his mom because something's going on. That there's a line we have to learn to balance with that, and we have, especially the more public figure you become, and Varian knows this, and Luke's starting to feel this. I know Katrina's felt this, and of course JD and Pops. The more people get to know you, the more they start having opinions about who you should be, and they start telling you who you should be hanging around with, how you should come across, the things you should be doing. They start tailoring your life for you, like you're a daughter and they're your mom planning your wedding.
And my answer to that is, as soon as you pay my bills, you might have a say. Might.
Yep.
And
Send me a nice big fat check, and then maybe I'll consider it.
Exactly.
I do get some good input from people because I've known to be overly passionate at times, and sometimes people are like, "Yo, dude, just chill." And I'll stop and go, "All right, I'm done." You know what I mean? It's like I do, because I do. I like I said, them baited fish hooks. Yeah, I jump too often. You know,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
my lips are all scarred up.
Yeah, I basically, like when I've been doing DEViL's quite a bit lately. I love being on DEViL's. It's now a thing for me. Because it's a safe place for me. I know I can say what I feel, what I need to say without, anybody attacking me. And what you see with me is generally what you get, but there are definitely parts of my private life that is none of anybody's business. And I'm not going to come on here and I'm not going to tell you about the latest drama with my kid's stepmother. I'm not going to come on here and, get into a lot of, what's personal and private to me, because I think no matter how big and famous you get, you have to have your own personal private space.
And totally agree with that. Rebel Gaming goes on to say that's not how the real world works anymore. There is how we want the world to work and how it actually works. I don't know what reference that is to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I can't really comment on it. The bottom line is the far left has the power right now, and it's time to learn the new rules of the game and play to survive until the great shift happens. That's not how it is in America.
You know how a rubber band stretches real thin and then it snaps back?
At least here in America,
All the stretch.
either side is more powerful, honestly. You hear more from the left just because of the media. The media is very left-driven, but in America, am I wrong, guys? You got everyone in here is, and by guys, I'm not trying to diminish Katrina. Please
That's it. Yeah.
don't send me fucking hate mail over that.
Starting already.
Where's my hate mail thing? Just put it up, Varian. No, but do you disagree with me that the left really just gets more coverage?
Yeah, and
Oh,
they're
yeah.
I mean, they're louder, but they're not. I don't think they're more. I really don't. I think there's a lot of people out there that just don't say who they vote for, who they're going to vote for. They don't. They're afraid to, but that don't mean that they're not going to vote. That just means they don't want to talk about it.
And, there's an old Chappelle joke about politics. He says, people tell you exactly what they did with their wife the other night, in bed. They tell you everything they did in bed last night. But he say, hey, who you voting for an election? Whoa, wait a minute. That's personal. What's your problem?
There's still a lot of people that feel that way.
What should be?
That's safe.
Yeah. Don't talk about politics. There's no need. Realistically, who in this room can make a change right now politically? I can't. I have no power. I can say any shit. It won't matter. Tomorrow, it won't matter. But I'll piss some motherfucker off. Someone's going to take offense to it. When I said, guys, there's someone already writing the email. Dear Mr. Anderson, she is a woman. She shouldn't even have to have man in the woman.
Dennis, 200K. Remember that.
I just need it to be whoa.
I want one of Dennis's women, man. I'm just saying.
Ralph Griffin says, I wear a liberal badge, but it has absolutely nothing to do with when I'm writing a story. It doesn't even enter my mind.
There you go.
I work with, as long as I like what they are doing, I could care less about their politics. And that's really what it's got to be about. It's got to be create. Sometimes working with someone different actually inspires you to create better.
I have never once asked a prospective client or a client about their religious beliefs, about their political beliefs, whether they believe in COMiX or not. I don't care. What I care about is, can we work together as a team and put out the best possible product?
Yeah.
Oh no! Nowadays it's like, are they COMiX? Rob, that person is. Tell me, is Varian COMiX? I was like, no, Varian's it's open. Varian let anyone into play. Like it's really bad. Like he'll literally let people in that will tell you to kill your masters and eat their babies. I'm telling you, he lets those people into the shows.
I've got friends that are COMiX. I've got friends that are anti-COMiX. The funny thing to me is, and I know I'll get in trouble for saying this, but
I'm opening my email right now, Varian.
Right. The friends of mine, it's a lot like wearing a mask right now. Okay. So you know how you can go into a store, and if you're not wearing a mask, someone's gonna come to you and give you a mouthful. Okay, how you're, and you can feel however you want about that. I personally wear a mask because I like going in stores. In Michigan, you can't go in a store without one, so I wear the damn mask. Now,
I wear them because they're cute. I have really cute masks.
So for me, but here's the thing: no one has come up to me and snatch my mask off my face and said, "You son of a bitch, why are you wearing a mask? Take it off now. I'm gonna kick your ass." No anti-mask wearer has come up to me and threatened me for wearing a mask. They don't care. So with the COMiX anti-COMiX thing, here's the thing. I have seen people come to me and say, "Hey, how could you be friends with this person who is COMiX? We can't be friends anymore. Goodbye." But nobody who was COMiX has come to me and say, "How could you be friends with that SJW? How could you let that SJW on your show?" That doesn't happen. So it doesn't, so it's so foreign to me, and it really is for me when it happens, and it has happened twice. It's happened twice where I've been told that, to not condemn them or to accept them as friends is to accept them as friends is basically to support them. And I like comic books.
I thought it'd be a little risky for me as a woman to start pointing to certain areas, so I just pointed to my heart.
No rules. You're okay to do anything you want.
Varian just hurts my heart sometimes.
That's not a rule. That's not a show rule. No one told her she couldn't do it. She can do anything she wants. She can run the show.
I didn't want to have Varian getting certain emails there.
I get all the emails anyway, guys. It's always like, hey,
It's
But the thing
I
the
have,
thing is, Varian, if those people sent you those emails and they did those things and they said, "Oh, goodbye," they were never your friends. They were never your fans anyway.
yeah.
You understand? They were just there to just be like, "Oh, well, now is the appropriate time to take a crap on Varian." That's all that was, and they were just waiting for that moment.
Yeah, I agree, and it's it sucks because you're like, oh man, I thought this person was a friend. I've talked to them. I've had them on my show, blah blah blah, and then that happens, and like, oh okay, well I guess I'll.
The worst thing.
I'm naming LF Louisa here best commenter of the night. That's all I'm just saying.
Yeah, she really is. But the worst thing is when they turn into rats. After they've been on your show and they're a rat and they call the police.
Yeah.
The worst thing they can do.
Yeah.
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 It's
Well-
just like that. You join. It's like when people, how the groups have the questionnaire before you join the group. Mine has a couple questions. Do you like comics? Do you like comic art? Do you love everything about comic related stuff? It doesn't have anything to do with anything else. I have people in the group that are on both sides of it. Nobody brings it to the group. Everybody has proven that they can get along. 1,350 people have proven that they can get along in a group without bringing any of that crap up. And I don't know why it can't be that way everywhere else. Why can't everybody just do what they do, mind their own business, and network and collaborate and make good stuff for the fans? For the fans.
I think I know why. I think because people put themselves at the center of the story rather than the story at the center of the story. It kind of goes back to that, putting the creator before the comic, putting the creators before the comics. And I think people want to put themselves at the center of the story rather than let the story speak for itself or put the story at the center of the story. I could work with the people that I work with, irrespective of who they are or who they vote for. I think case in point right now, we've got our Kickstarter going for Voodoo Nations, and Travis and I are on two different ends of the political spectrum. He is what we would call a liberal, and some people claim him to be SJW. I've been accused of being COMiXgate, and I don't confirm nor deny, and I don't care to. I'm a right-leaning libertarian. That's what I am. But here we are, and we do our rats do have big ears, yes. But here we are, and we're working on a project together because the story is a story that is good and needs to be told. And so we're putting our efforts and our talents together to do it. Do we agree on everything politically? No. Do we agree on everything that goes in the book all the time? No. But I lean to his expertise and he leans to mine. And that's what you do in a collaboration. You put aside your differences and you make something good because the art deserves it.
And because the fans deserve it.
And the fans definitely deserve it.
The best that you can give them. The best that you can give them. And it doesn't matter which way you lean. We want good books. We don't care. We want good books. Especially now. Look, man, I went to the LCS today. I usually come home with a stack of books when I go to the LCS. This is what I came home with. There's nothing there, man. That's what I'm saying. It's like we need indie comics to serve the people. Everybody get together, get it right, quit fighting, make good books.
And spell indie right. INDEE.
Yeah.
INDIE.
Katrina, you're an editor. Why is there an extra I? If you can tell me why there's an extra I, then you're right. Otherwise, as an editor, you must now swear off. Because my version is
See, look at him trying to control me again, guys.
There he is. Look at that.
That's his testicles and privilege speaking.
Yeah. and let's not forget, Katrina was you guys don't know the story, but Katrina once had to edit a book where the writer told her there was he wanted to change the way he wanted to change grammar. That's right. He wanted to change all the rules and regulations of grammar. No punctuation, no periods, no exclamation points, nothing like that. No apostrophes. And Katrina had to swallow that pill and do it. So,
well, you forgot he also was aiming for no audience. Rebel Gaming says
I don't know. The book ended up being picked up by Marcosia, so I don't know.
Who?
Yeah, I don't know. I literally.
Marcosia is a comics company out of England. So maybe they feel differently about punctuation than we do. I don't know.
They're pretty big. Pretty big company.
Didn't we kick their ass already? I mean, like, does it matter that we got this whole July?
Yeah, you know, somebody asked me about that book, and I said, "Look, here's the thing. I got paid to go through it twice. You know, and
let me just talk to that indie thing for a second, though. INDY. That's Indianapolis, Indiana. Okay.
There you go.
Can we just agree to stop doing that? Like putting
no
that.
whys.
Quit doing that.
No
Yeah,
why.
it's either INDIE or INDE. I don't care, but it can't be INDY because that's my home right there. That's Indianapolis.
Auto racing, baby.
Yeah.
All right. Rebel Gaming says they say silence is violence and they try to use it against you. I've never heard that.
I speak out, so I
have heard it. I don't necessarily agree with it.
Hey, it's silence is only silence is dangerous when good men. The quote I know is, "When good men do nothing, evil wins." And I don't mean men as when good humans don't do anything. Evil things happen. So
you know what? I grew up being taught that silence is golden. You don't start shit when you don't need to start shit.
I was told to shut up. That's all I was.
I was raised by somewhat by my grandparents, so they were a little politer about it.
I was taught to question everything and follow the money.
All right, Philman X says, "Hey yo, what's up, people? What's up, Philman?"
Hey, Phil.
Ralph Griffin says, "You make great comics. I love to read. I'll support you regardless of your political alliance."
Where's the this memo?
Well, let me quickly ask everyone: what was Stan Lee? What politically was Stan Lee?
No one knows.
No idea.
No one fucking knows. That's huge, guys. That's huge.
I truly think he voted for Odin every year or every election.
So Jay Lee did a cover for Cyber. Oh, we went over this. We already did this with the covers and all that.
You know, here's the thing. There are people who have tried to, and it shows you the depravity of some people. After Stan passed, like, there's always been a rule. You know what? Someone passed away. Unless they did truly egregious shit when they were alive, when they die, you leave them alone. Rest in peace.
You don't speak ill of the dead.
That's not true. Go look at all the Civil War statues being torn down, right?
Okay, but that's my point. These new people, they don't care. What did you do? You had to have had some skeletons in your closet. There had to be something you did, and we are going to find out. And we are going to remove your corpse from the cemetery and toss it out into the fucking what's it called? The deepest part of the ocean. I forget what it's called.
It's the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, the Mariana Trench. Yeah, we're gonna toss your ass out there. You are unpersoned, even as a corpse. And they tried to do it to Stan. They tried to unperson Stan Lee after he passed away, and that's the only time that I think I lost my temper at SJWs. Because you don't mess with Stan.
I lose with them all the time, and it's funny because SJWs sometimes have really good points to make.
Yeah.
It's how they fucking do it and how stupid they get. It's like, I would consider myself a feminist, but most people who call themselves a feminist right now aren't feminists. They want revenge on men. And look, honey, I know you had a bad breakup, but that doesn't mean you have to hate men. That'll get you some hate mail, Varian. Just wait until Monday.
Yeah.
I got accused of hating men and revenge posts and all sorts of stupid shit, and I'm like, I'm sorry, just I'm not somebody who I spent a lot of my life not standing up for myself, and and it's hard to do that. So kudos to anybody who can stand up for themselves when they need to, but that's kind of my point. When I need to, and just because I stand up for myself does not mean I hate men, does not mean anything other than I was standing up for myself.
So Rebel Gaming has like a whole
it's got a whole system here
on how to do things. So definitely check out Rebel Gaming, How to Survive the Internet Apocalypse. In our chat room tonight. I'm just not reading a novel tonight. Sorry, nothing against you, Rebel Gaming, but I'm not reading a novel.
If you want to avoid cancel culture, ignore cancel culture.
Yeah, guys, I have to get out of here, but it's been fun chatting with you. I just popped in to make sure that Rob knew that Big Brother was watching. and that
I didn't say that about Katrina. I promise. Like as soon as she said that, Varian came running in. What you saying, Rob?
What was that?
I'll see you in my office Monday morning. All right, I'll see you guys later. Everybody have a great night.
Hey, tell them where they can follow you.
KYD_V on Twitter, Varian Grand on everywhere else on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Last Call Comics, it's my publishing company, lastcallcomics.com, and of course, indievolt.com as well.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
No problem, sir. You guys have a good night.
Bye, Varian.
And then I have trouble with self-promotion. I prefer avoiding it. Not a natural thing. It's very hard to self-promote. I absolutely, and in my recent Kickstarter video, all my friends were like, you're talking about yourself in third person. I was like, it made real easy. Talking about myself and not thinking about it being me, but thinking about all the stuff I've done and explaining it like a narrator actually made my life easier. What do you guys think? Is it hard to self-promote?
I am absolutely terrible at it. This last month I've been promoting a Kickstarter and my book, and it's so hard because I feel like I'm spamming people that people just don't want to hear it anymore. And I have actually joked that for future projects I'm gonna hire a hype man and just let them do it for me, because I don't enjoy this. I love sharing. Kind of sharing. Like I'll do a live reading from my book, and that's fine. But give me just there and try to hype myself up or do hype about myself.
And
I have the same difficulty. It's really hard for me to promote my stuff. I mean, I think I have fairly quality looking books, but try to get me to talk about them. It's hard. I mean, but it's one of those things that I have to overcome. It's one of the reasons why I started doing. I stream and interview people to try to break out of that, but it's difficult.
Yeah, it's why I started doing like IndieVolt with Varian, because I knew Varian was a safe space. We've been friends for years, and I knew that he'd kind of nudge me, but not push me off a cliff.
And Fallujah says I would love an irony font. What about you, Luke?
Yeah, I absolutely hate self-promotion. I hate telling people about Voodoo Nation's issue #1, a horror suspense comic book series on Kickstarter right now. And just one more day to get a special variant cover that I did today that is totally awesome. I hate telling people about terraformcomics.com, where they should go and sign up for the mailing list there to find out more about great stories and great comics with great creators that are designed for the fans. I'm telling you what, it's really tough to be that, to have to stand up and talk about, books like Hybrids or Scarlet Trace, things that I'm working on that people should definitely get their hands on. It's like pulling teeth and agonizing for me to tell you to go to lukestonestudios.com and to follow me on all of my social media outlets. It really is just terrible.
I think I found my hype man, guys.
Seriously, we all need to hire Luke.
That is the hardest thing of everybody whose books I promote. The hardest thing is to get me to be excited about what they're doing. I tell them all. I go in a private message, don't just share it, because then I'm just going to share it. If you give me something to work with, I can be excited. I can promote your book. That's what I like to do. What Luke just did, everybody do that. It's hard, but hey, I'm going to buy your book if you're excited about your book. If you're not excited about it,
it's hard for anybody else to be.
Yeah. Believe in what you do. Believe in what you do, man.
I just realized we're at the 2-hour, 30-minute mark, so we are going to close it out right now. I'll get Rebel Gaming last comment. Because your country is I believe he means the Civil War, all of its politics and what's happening in comics is a small battle, a much larger war. When you look at Portland, that is the reason way to divide. What you don't understand, and us Americans understand it, it's not as much as what the TV shows you. There are people who are upset, that are reacting, that are protesting, but there's millions of Americans who are still going to work, working with each other, talking with each other, we're friends. You're watching something that they want you to watch. They have made you a consumer, Larry, of that propaganda. You don't understand that we're still I go out every day, not one person's come up and talk to me about my skin color. I go on Facebook and I'll hear about it. That's the difference. Get off of social media a little bit. Go out there and interact.
Don't buy into it,
and you'll realize it's not what the news is making it out to be, Larry. I promise you. New York City. You ever notice they don't talk a lot about New York, the melting pot? That's because nothing's really going on there. Portland's having a problem because of laws that have been reversed that have allowed anarchy to start taking over. That's why the federal government went in there and restored order. Because, believe it or not, the mayor didn't get in the way. But they don't report that on the news. That's the point. Our news isn't giving you the full thing. You want to hear about American news? Check out BBC. They cover it probably more fairly than our own news does. Painful to say, but truthfully honest. We're not in the middle of a civil war. We're working some shit out. That's America. We've always had problems. When we have problems, we get a little rambunctious. We might cause a little bit of damage, but at the end of the day, we find a way to move forward. That's what's amazing about America, and I'll leave it at that. Let's go around the room and say goodbye. We'll start with the way you came in. So the first in, sorry. First in goes first.
All right. That was me. Yay. Hi, guys. I am Katrina. I run Cat Scratch Press. I am an editor and an author. I'm going to show you. I'm going to do it. I've been really good tonight about not promoting. This is my brand new book. It's only been out just about a week. It's available on Amazon. It is 20 children's stories all about toys who live in a toy store. So go check that out. If you need to get in touch with me, catscratchpress.com, Katrina Rose on Facebook, and Life with Katie on Instagram.
And thank you for being on the show. JD, tell them about what you got going on. Flash some more of those covers. For those in the radio, you didn't see JD was hamming it up by showing off some covers. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel to see these covers from JD.
That's right. JD. Thank you. I'm JD Calderon, and you can find me at theoswaldchronicles.com, and these are some of the covers to what's going on at Indiegogo right now, so you can go check that out. It's perhaps the greatest mouse adventure you'd ever see in comics these days. So please go check out Indiegogo. Go check out my channels at JD Calderon. I interview independent creators at least 3 times a week, every week, and I'm trying to get voices that nobody hears. So I'm trying to get these people out there. Thank you.
All right. And then we have, we want to thank Mike Watson and Variant for being on the show today. Luke Stone is next up.
Yeah, I mean, if I have to, be sure to go buy Kickstarter today and check out Voodoo Nation's #1. It is a suspense horror book that will literally change your life. Outside of the Bible, it's the most important book you'll read this year. Please go by and check that out. There's a special cover that's available for just another 24 hours in honor of the HomeCon for San Diego Comic-Con. Please go by terraformcomics.com, sign up for that mailing list. We have a lot of things that will be the things that change your life after this book changes your life. And then also go to lukestonestudios.com. Follow me on all the major social media sites, or Google it and have some fun.
And Pops, you're up.
Comic-related madness, the best kept secret on Facebook, where we promote people's books, where we promote other people's books, coming in August, where we go out and we meet people like Dominic Pace, who gives us the Beskar, man, the Beskar, because this is the way. Join the madness.
All right, now it's my turn. So I'm lazy, so I have some pre-made videos for you to watch.
Let me, Indy. Mr. Anderson is the unboxable advocating creator known as the devilish comics creator who will tempt you with his devilish tales. He creates books about fetish, monsters, and more, and offers free spanks and hugs. He also teaches morals with farts. Check out the Comics Devil by going to MrAnderson.com.
Be more than just a fan. Become an advocate for comics. Subscribe to comicbookadvocates.com, the site that puts the love of comics